And we are live. Welcome to the Red Man Group, episode 19. Today with me, my band of misfits and hellraisers includes Donovan Sharp from The Sharp Reality, Ryan Stone from Married Red Pill, Rolla Tomasi from The Rational Male, and Texas Dom from TexasDom.com. And we should be joined soon by Carl from BlackLabelLogic.com, the original gang. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
You can unmute. Now we can unmute our mics.
Thanks for coming on, guys. Appreciate it today.
Thanks for having me again.
Yeah, thanks for coming on early too. A little bit earlier for everybody watching and talking on the show. Also, welcome to our Twitter followers and Facebook followers. We're streaming there live for the first time, as well as YouTube. And I'll be watching the chat on YouTube and the Google Hangouts with my group here, and then we'll be watching the Twitter ones as well through an intern, stuff like that. So, gentlemen, welcome to the show. How you guys doing, and what's going on?
Good.
Yeah, doing good. I guess we'll let Rolla go first and see.
Oh, all right. Let's see. I know, since I got up the earliest, I get to go first.
Go, Rolla.
I don't think anybody realizes how early it is on the West Coast.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, man.
Right. Well, I got a lot of stuff going for me. I always feel like I got to talk about what's going on as far as the Rational Male is concerned. I just had the 21 convention. My second talk for the 21 convention went live this week. So, it went free this week. So I wrote a post about that, and I kind of got into. I got kind of a little cerebral, I guess, about just the impact, I think, of changing times, and it really hit me like when I saw this the video and was kind of reviewing all the stuff that we did last year at last year's convention, and I looked at it and I was like, this is the only time in history that this could happen. Like the only time I could have written what I write right now. The only time I could have published a book, self-publishing wasn't a thing, back in the 90s. It wasn't a thing even really back in the early 2000s. And I think that the way that we sort of take the red pill for granted these days, I don't think a lot of guys really realize that there was a time before the internet when the stuff that I talk about in my books and on my blog, all of that was still going on, but we didn't have this connectivity and we couldn't really talk to each other. And I can remember the only time you would see an ad for a how to pick up girls kind of book was you'd see that in the back of a Hustler magazine or something, or Penthouse or something like that. And that was as far as it went. People oh, that's creepy. And then of course, the guys who started, alt fast seduction, you got the guys in the game, and it just sort of came up. So I wrote a post about pretty much how we've gone from being, I think, in the worst condition we possibly could be in the 90s as far as intersexual dynamics and really knowing about them, to where we are right now. I think really we kind of take it for granted. We were talking about this this morning about how music these days really genuinely does suck. And it sucks because it's too easy today, because we take it for granted that we have the tools and we have the abilities to produce, creative works, but it's too easy. We don't have to work for it anymore. And so all of the events and all the experiences that led up to me writing what I do could only happen, and it could only be published today. Because can you imagine me trying to go to a traditional publishing house and saying, "Hey, here's the Rational Male. Can you please publish my book for me?" And even if they would, what kind of deal would I get? And now, I never in my life thought I would ever be an author, much less a published author, much less an author who's got audiobooks. And it's just sort of really humbling to think that this is the only time in history that we could really actually do this. So I wrote that about, people are probably going to ask me questions like, what is Rolla getting into these days? Well, that was really just sort of what I was thinking, because I think that we have a generation of guys now who grew up with the internet. They grew up never having to worry about, never really having to remember a phone number. If they got a girl's phone number, they never had to worry, write it down and put it in your butt. I remember when I had to do shit like that.
The shoebox full of notes.
Exactly.
I've only gotten a girl's phone number on paper like 3 or 4 times in my life. It's always been on a cell phone.
Well, I thought about that, and I was asking my wife. I said, "How many phone numbers can you remember right now?" And we could both maybe come up with 3. Like ours, my mom's, my daughter's, and I think that was probably it, and everything else is just in my iPhone.
You guys missed the old days of getting phone numbers on napkins and then trying not to split too much. And
yeah, and then wondering if you drew a 8 or a 3,
Oh, God.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's what that post was about. Other than that, my work, I'm working on a cap for a bottle right now for one of my new brands. So that's kind of keeping me busy. Actually, I've got a new liquor brand that I'm working with. I swore I wasn't going to get back into liquor, but this was too good a deal to pass up.
Can't leave it alone, brother.
I'm not leaving money on the table. So, I've been doing that. And yesterday I did a photo shoot. I did a photo shoot with me, and I did a photo shoot with a couple of girls. And I did a gig last night, which is why my voice is the way it is right now. And I didn't get much sleep. So I'm going to pass it to Ryan. Go.
Yeah. Oh, I was just thinking back to your 90s thing. I remember the napkin phone numbers. We used to have shoe boxes. We dump them on the bed once a week to show off who was the bigger man. The number closes. That always made me laugh. Yeah. So for me, it's given those days lately where it's you wake up, you're out and move, and by the time your legs stop moving, your head hits the pillow again. So this is actually my first time to stop and take a breath all week. So at the very least, thank God for the podcast. Beyond that, it's just Canada Day is coming up. For those of you south of the 49th, this is the day where we celebrate how we waited 100 years, didn't spit any blood, and just asked nicely to leave. When the Brits said, sure, we offered to help them with the Germans out just to be polite about it. And here we are. Yeah, beyond that, I got a couple posts I'm working on. I don't want to talk about them because that's how you talk about New Year's resolutions and then you get the dopamine rush, so you never end up doing it. Oh. Yeah, I'm kind of in that phase right now. But beyond that, really looking forward to the live stream here. I had to buy some new clothes because I realized I've worn just about every one of my shirts for the podcast, so I'd be double dipping here.
I guess Carl got to you finally.
Yeah, making fun of my shirts. I bought that Hawaii one. I don't know if you guys saw that on Twitter. I bought that just for him. Pretty ridiculous, but whatever.
I have good news, by the way, guys. We are doing well on Twitter and Facebook, so the multi-stream is working.
Excellent.
Nice. Good. You know how hard it is to do well on Twitter without your tits hanging out? It's fucking difficult.
Yeah.
And then beyond that, something I'll notice. I know we weren't going to talk about it, but I noticed there's a growing crowd of any attention is good attention people, and it's just kind of funny. Yeah, but I'll leave it at there, and you guys can. Who's watching? Who knows what we're talking about?
Donovan,
right, what's going on, man?
Yeah, things are going great over here. TSR Towers had a great week on the show. Had Ed Lattimore on. I think it was Monday night. Talking about his struggles with alcohol, how he, his journey to becoming a professional boxer. How he decided to become a physics major after getting his head beat in for the better part of a decade. And he and I are going to do a special live broadcast right after, at the conclusion of the Canelo Alvarez Triple G match on September 15th, Saturday, September 15th. That match is probably going to end, I would say, between 12:30 and 1 a.m. But him and I, we're going to burn the midnight oil. And right after that fight, we're gonna break down the fight. We're gonna talk about it. I mean, I could talk to Ed about boxing forever. So that'll be a little bit of indulgence there. This week I also talked about the cost of good relationships. I talked about the fact that people these days, young and old, at the first sign of trouble in a relationship, they jump ship. And girls make up. If a guy has an idiosyncrasy. It starts off as sort of a cute little idiosyncrasy. Then, of course, it later, grows into a giant annoyance. Basically letting guys know, hey, listen, man, we bitch and complain about how bitches ain't shit. But guess what, man? Like, you got to step up your game, too. You have to understand that having a good relationship, it takes work, man. It does take some sacrifice. Like, there are some things that you're going to have to give up to have a good relationship and run it Red Pill style. I also did one, dare I say, 3 signs she might be a quality woman, might being the operative word there. You guys are going to have to check that out. I released the Donovan Sharp notch count calculator on donovansharp.com. Very, very interesting. And listen, this isn't some arbitrary number. It is kind of sort of tongue in cheek, half scientific, half not. But if you actually listen to it, it starts to make a lot of sense. And then, of course, my show on Thursday night was about how girlfriends are always better than wives. That was a really, really good show. Had a lot of fun doing that. Ryan, I agree with you. I actually did a podcast, I don't know, about a year ago And it was entitled "Never Believe What a Woman Tells You, Even If She's Telling the Truth." And what that detailed, listen, what it detailed is the fact that, and you hit it right on the head, that dopamine rush that comes with making a declaration of change, right? So if a woman says, I'm going to go to Spain this year, she gets all of the dopamine rush with coming with Spain. But then when it comes to the financial temperance and saving money and the planning, she's not necessarily motivated to do it because she already got all of the chemical rewards from that. If a woman says, I'm going to lose weight this year, it's the same thing. She goes about buying the clothes and the gym membership, and she thinks about what it's going to be like with her newfound body and this and that and the other. But again, she's been rewarded so much by that serotonin and dopamine. When the rubber meets the road, she's already been rewarded for it. It's like buying a car, and you're excited about buying the car. You make your payments on time for the first 6 months, but then those payments start to get a little bit harder because you've already experienced the best of what a car has to offer as far as you're concerned. So it was a great week over on DonovanSharp.com. Again, you guys can check me out Sunday through Thursday evenings at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 Pacific.
Cool. Tex, you're up.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, did I
go on, Tex? Anthony's off to one side there. Go ahead, Tex. What's up?
I'll tell you, the last couple of weeks been traveling. I hit Denver and Vegas and Reno and Jackson, Mississippi, and yeah. So traveling, man, it's working hard, trying to get my butt back down to the beach shortly. That's it. Pretty easy.
That's it. Cool.
Yeah, Texas, dude. Any guy named Tex, no, you know he's got a simple life, man. Girls, girls, and guitars. That's about it.
There you go. Yeah.
Cool. Let's see.
Yeah, I was trying to work on some audio stuff. Let's.
No, go ahead, dude. You got it.
Anthony, you're up. Go.
Yeah. So well, that's right. I got to introduce myself too. What's going on? So we're just selling the shit out of tickets this year to the event. We've sold over half a dozen in the past 24 hours, and that's after last month and like the past weeks. It's crazy. It's constant and it's fucking awesome. It's exciting. So the event this year has already got over 150 people, as I tweeted last night. That includes speakers, but all the attendees, everybody. So it's fucking huge. It's more than we had last year. So that's just constant. And then we put our Rolla's talk the other day. That was pretty exciting. My Beautiful Face is in that as well. Rolla approached me at the last second. He's like, hey, do you want to come up and be part of this? And I'm like, shit. Yeah, I'll do that. I'm glad I did. I think it helped come out a little bit better that way. Took maybe some of the focus off of some of the attention it takes to, field questions from the audience. And I'm really glad Rolla did it. I'm glad he gave 2 talks, and I'm excited for his talk this year at the event.
Yeah, good. I'm glad. Yeah, it's working out, I think.
Yeah.
When we were first talking about putting something together or doing a different kind of convention, a red pill convention, I told you I was looking for something like a red pill summit because we never had anything like that before. We never had sort of I actually tried to do that a while back. I think when me and Christian McQueen were really kind of aiming for that with the Man in Demand conference.
Oh yeah, when you guys were doing the stuff.
Yeah, and that was 2015, and that worked out so amazingly good. I'm like, man, we got to hit on this. And so Christian wanted to keep doing it, but I think Christian's got his own priorities really, and I mean that's cool. But really, once you and I started talking and we started compiling a list of speakers, I mean obviously the proof is right there right now. I mean we're almost sold out. I mean, and we're selling more tickets. I mean, we're at 150 tickets right now, aren't we?
Yeah,
that includes speakers too. But so it's tickets. It's over 100. It's almost 130 now, like paid tickets.
And we're topping out at 175.
175, 200. Depends who you're counting and what you're counting, but probably 175 paid tickets. So yeah.
So we don't want and a larger venue this year too.
Yep, new venue, larger venue, still in Orlando, but it's and we're working on improved audio for the event, more cameras. All kinds of upgrades, stuff like that. So the event will be, more badass than ever, but so will the video that comes out next year from 2018.
Yeah, that's great. And I've been kind of a silent partner with Anthony right now. It's like I want to get more involved in it, but I've still got books to write and I've still got other things to do as well. But I think this is working out really well, and I think this year will finally be really what I had in mind, what I think it could be. I mean, if you just go and you look at the lineup of the guys this year, I mean, pretty much, myself, Donovan, you, Ryan,
the 27 Yankees,
we're all we're all going to be speaking there. And I don't think it's any secret that on the Redman group, we're probably going to have most of the speakers on this show at some point, just to,
Yep.
And if you're not familiar with any of the guys, and I don't see why you wouldn't, because I mean, we've got a lot of guys who are pretty notorious, I guess, in the red pill. I think that you would get to know them a little bit better on this show as well. And it just, I don't know.
It seems like the momentum's building on this thing. I'm looking forward to it.
I'll tell you what I'm also looking forward to is the
after party at club.
Well, not the after party, so but like the after interviews. Those are really good, and I know that you kind of have to get all the speeches out of the way before you release the ones like I did with Christian McQueen and Goldman, or I did the one with Socrates and Hunter.
Yep.
Those are, I mean, you'll laugh your ass off, at least on the Hunter, with me and Hunter. But those are really fun too, because it's like you're kind of like it's really formal, and you're giving a speech, and you're talking and all this stuff, and then you get off, and then you're just like, whoo, like, then you can be yourself all of a sudden. It's interesting to go from like really formal to being like really informal. So it's really good.
Yeah, I'm excited as well. Yeah, it's fucking bananas, man. Like, I just can't believe the demand for tickets. It just keeps going. It just keeps going and going and going. And the speakers we have better than ever. One thing you mentioned too, Rolla, that this is like, what you had in mind, or your vision for what, I'm doing with the company in this event. But I'll say this too, the event since its inception in 2006, 2007, it's gotten better every year, whether that's in the design of the event, the duration of the event, the location, the team, the filming. Every year something gets better, and I think now we're seeing that at a really deep intellectual level with the content and the speakers that we've invited to the event. In large part that you've helped corral them too. It's like herding cats. So
yeah, exactly.
I appreciate it.
And then we're also, I think right now people are starting to take the 21 convention a whole lot more seriously.
Oh, of course.
And I don't mean that as a slight against anything you did in the past. I mean, you've been doing this for like 10, this will be 11 years now. But I think that people are actually looking at it as a red pill event now, as something that's really beneficial. I don't really have to sell the tickets to a lot of guys. I mean, the guys who are going to buy tickets are going to buy the tickets, and they're going to want to go. Yep. And then to the people that I do kind of have to sell it to, I have to say, look, you're going to an event that is not, it's not selling you, sweet sunshine. It's not selling you positive, mental. It's like power positive thinking, or it's not like a pep rally. It's not like yeah, we're gonna get out. It's not trying to hype you up or anything. It's not a Tony Robbins style event. It's giving you tools. It's actual content. It's actual, nuts and bolts instead of just hype. I mean, it's just like, if people want to say, well, now I'm great. I feel good. How do I go and do this? And then they have nothing to really work with once they leave, I'm going to go ahead and say it. They leave an RSD event, or they leave the Tony Robbins event. I mean, there's a lot of conventions like this, and there's a lot of guys who are out there selling this mindset kind of attitude, like you got to be positive, you got to have this. Right. They're selling this confidence, and then people are like, how do I get confidence? What's confidence? It's just a magical. If I pray enough, I'll be confident. No, that's not it, man. I mean, and that's why I keep telling you. I think we have to sort of struggle against that impression, because a lot of guys, what's Tony Robbins is asking like $3,000 or $4,000 for a weekend or something that he's doing
just to make you feel better.
Yeah, just to make you feel better about your life. And it's like, in this case, you're going to get nuts and bolts. You're going to get my material. You're going to get Ed's material. You're going to get everybody's material, and you're going to, like last year, I had guys that were taking notes throughout the entire event, and they're highlighting stuff, and they're going, they're really like, it's almost like a class for these guys.
That was a Hunter wrote a speech.
Yeah, really. Yeah, exactly. That Hunter wrote a speech right there in the thing. But it's I don't want to say it's like a classroom type thing, but it is in a way, because you're getting a lot of bang for your buck. And then after that, you have access to all of these great speakers. And yep. I think I did 2 1-hour speeches last year, and I think I probably did 8 hours of just informal talking with people, around the event. And then there's the after parties. There's
there we go.
Get-togethers. There's the networking. Christian McQueen will probably be doing some infields. I'm sure Goldman will be doing something. So there's always things that are going on that it's like this value added that you don't even realize is added. And then I had guys telling me last year that, I really felt good about it. I was kind of sketchy going in, but then I made friends that I will, probably talk to for, the rest of my life. So you're building these relationships with other guys, and you're growing, and you're actually getting something for your bucks. It's not like, just like I said, it's not a pep rally. It's not motivational speaking. It's like giving you nuts and bolts and tools for it. So,
yeah, keeping it 100.
Yeah. So now that I've given you the pitch.
Sign me up.
Wow, that's big what you just put in the chat there, Anthony. We accept volunteers at a big discount.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to talk to you about that. I got another guy who is
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much the volunteer spots are for guys who really can't afford to attend no matter what.
Okay.
So we opened it, and they still have to pay something, but it's very minimal in exchange for 5 days of volunteer work. Simple stuff, but we need bodies to help out. So it's a good thing. And we'll keep taking them on, and we'll keep figuring out, finding guys who want to do that. If you do want to volunteer to the event, you can email us at tickets@the21convention.com, and the subject line put volunteer 2018. So if you want to do that, we still have 8 spots, and we might take you on, especially if you're local to Florida. But even if you're not, we'll take you.
Dude, it's funny. The guy is local in Florida. How about that?
Oh yeah, the Jacksonville guy. Yeah, sweet.
No, it's another guy. It's actually another guy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so
I'll get with you.
taking a step
Out
back.
there in Florida, Jesus.
I mean, a lot of Florida men. You've seen the Twitter account, so.
Hey man, I got a house there now too.
Yep. Yeah, I wanted to say, Rolla, you mentioned how serious the convention's being taken more seriously now, and I agree with you, and I don't take any slight to it. In part, that's finding your work in the red pill. That is what, like in 2015 when I first found your blog, that's what I was searching for, but it didn't quite hit me like what I had found when I stumbled on your blog. I just thought I found a cool blog, and I was like, maybe this guy's full of shit. Maybe he's really smart. I got to do more investigating. As it turned out, you know what you're talking about. So that's pretty awesome.
Plus something else, another person giving some congratulations to Anthony. You finally got shit posts now.
Yeah.
That's when you know you've made it, when people are starting to give you shit and make posts about how they don't like you.
Yep.
Listen, man, a long time ago, I forget who told me this right before I started my podcast. He said, look, dude, you can't listen. The key is you do want to be polarizing. If half the people love you and half the people hate you, you're doing it right. But if everybody loves you or everybody hates you, it's not going to work. So yeah, congratulations, Anthony. I guess finally catching heat and hate and getting memes made about you. You made it, brother.
Well, thank you. That's about to get a lot more intense, though, because on the 4th of July, we are releasing the keynote talk I gave at the event last year with Socrates. Yeah. It's a super long video. It's over 2 hours long. Rolla was a big influence for it, as well as some other manuscript writers. And that's the title of it's The Future is Masculine. And that comes out on the 4th of July. And basically, it's a declaration of war on feminism.
Oh, yeah. I like that.
Culturally, politically, socially, stuff like that. No violence, of course. But it's a big deal. It's definitely the most controversial radical talk I've ever given, and easily one of the most controversial ever given at the convention. So I'm looking forward to putting it out, and I think it's going to make some big waves. I think Rolla saw it live, and I think Ryan too.
Yeah,
Ryan,
I saw the recording, and you're going to trigger the fuck out of a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Good.
Thanks.
And if and also to go back to what Donovan was saying, if you're trying to be polarizing, I don't think that's the key, right? I mean, you either are polarizing or you're not.
I agree.
People figure that shit out real quick when you're just trying to, chew on somebody's ankle and get some attention.
There is no try. There's only do and do not, right?
Here's the thing, man. To bring it right around to sports, there's a guy who works, I think, for Fox Sports now. He used to work for ESPN. His name is Rob Parker. And this guy, he's made a career out of being the contrarian to everything, right? So he goes around saying Tom Brady is not the greatest quarterback of all time. He's maybe the number 7 quarterback of all time. And he doesn't believe that. But here's the thing. If people took his stance, if people said, well, listen, if the general consensus was, well, listen, if just because Brady has 5 Super Bowl rings, it doesn't mean he's the greatest of all time, then he would be on his crusade. No, Brady is the greatest of all time. I can't stand people who are perpetual contrarians just for the sake of being contrarian. To me, that's disingenuous. You're not using your own thoughts. You are parroting ideas for notoriety. I fucking hate that shit. Oh, I hate that.
Sometimes I try to be polarizing, but usually no. I just do what I want to do, and that tends to piss people off. So
there you go.
It works pretty good. I learn from the best too. I surround myself with people who are very triggering. Ryan is particularly savage. So. Had to.
But see, Ryan is like undercover savage, right? Because Ryan, dude, like Ryan will sit there and he'll deliver all these shivs and do it with a smile on your face.
That's right. Exactly.
Veins coming out of my forehead. No, Ryan's just cool. He's sipping on his vodka. He's like, dude.
I can just imagine Ryan like teleporting Donovan, like, Donovan, you talk too much. And then he just like suddenly appears back in Canada.
Oh my God.
Having fun. What's the point?
That'd be great.
It's got to be fun.
It's a boot time. You showed up, Donovan. Or that's too Scottish. I'm trying the Canadian.
That was terrible.
A boot. Water to be a boot, right?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, buddy. We're having to have a dart here, and you're just getting all fucking raging on me.
Yep.
Fuck, bud.
Wow.
So for today's show, we wanted to focus on Collins, and we had a theme for it too, I think, right, Rolla?
Right. Anyways, the theme I wanted to throw out there, I mean, I just we could just simply take calls and that's fine. If you guys want to call in and you want to just ask anything, that's fine. But the theme I was thinking of today was actually brought up by Pat Campbell, and I'll probably end up hitting this theme on his show next week. But it is the signs that you are, or where you fit in as far as priorities are concerned with a woman. So if you're in an LTR, if you're in a marriage, and the reason I kind of want to hit on this is that I think a lot of guys don't really realize how women prioritize things in their lives when it comes to like intersexual dynamics. This was sort of brought up when we were talking about the pictures of what was it, Mika and Joe Scarborough recently, because they're getting married, and it was like this really cringeworthy moment on the show where I think Joe was trying to paw at her, and he was like trying to touch her hand, and she was just like, "No, Joe, don't touch me!" And we're on the air, and then he looks to the two cucks on the side of it, to his side, and it was just he's looking for support, and they're just like, "I don't know," it's so interesting to see. That was one thing. I mean, we were talking about how that, when you're a beta and you're looking for like beta support from other betas, it's like it's real. That's cringeworthy stuff. But really, what it is I was just thinking, it was like, and we've talked about this before, because in preventive medicine, I kind of outlined how women have different priorities for their lives in the sexual marketplace at different times of their lives. So when a woman is like, say, at her sexual market peak, she's at 22, 23 years old, she's prioritizing her like sexual needs or what she's attracted to and what she's aroused by in a way that is not going to be the same thing as, like, say, when she's about to hit the wall. So when she gets to be, in the epiphany phase between, like, say, 29 and 31, her priorities change because her needs are going to change. So while she might be looking for alpha bad boy, if she can find it, she's really looking for the beta guy who's going to be a good provider that she can get some long-term security with. And it's just at this kind of convenient moment where she's like saying, "Oh, I want to do things right now, and I want to get right with God, or I've learned my lesson with the bad boys, and I'm ready for a real solid relationship finally. And I've finished my journey of self-discovery." And there's this rationale, this reasoning that kind of goes along with all that. But that led me to thinking, like, how do women prioritize the men in their lives? Because a lot of the married guys that I work with, and Ryan probably understands this too, I see the women in these guys' lives just, I don't know, it seems like they're like third or fourth on the list, as opposed to, like, say, the kids. Like there's always, like, when you're talking about parents and stuff like that, the woman is always going to say, well, the kids come first. Or if you're dating a single mother, you can always bet that the kid is always going to come first, and you're going to come like maybe third or fourth, next to her job or her family or some other shit like that. I think a woman is kind of doing you a favor if she's going to vocalize that and tell you, yeah, you're maybe fourth in line next to everything else, because what that does is it means that you're not wasting your time anymore. I mean, you could pull the Alan Roger Curry move, and you're just like, you know what, fuck it, I'm out. It's all pragmatism at that point, but you know what you're getting into. And I think that a lot of guys who are beta and are very necessitous when it comes to women are happy to even just be number 4 in that list. And so what I wanted to talk about today is just the signs of how where you sort of fit in priority wise with a woman, whether you're in a monogamous relationship with her or you are in, even just dating, if she's a plate that you're spinning, you're still going to be someone who she's going to fit in at, as in a certain order of importance, I guess. And so I just want to sort of cover what are some of the signs that says you're number one in her life or you're number 4 in her life. So if anybody wants to talk about that when you call in, that's fine. But I was also going to say that if you want to just talk about anything, if you've got something else going on with you, that's fine. Well, this is kind of like to put the phone systems and our new simulcast through the paces, but that's kind of what I wanted to touch on for this episode.
Yeah. Listen, I'm not, and I always let people know, man, like I'm a simple guy, right? I'm smart and intelligent and all that, but I'm not as scholarly as someone, like Rollo. And Ryan, I don't know how he does it. He has a brilliant way of just kind of processing information really quickly. I don't know if he's got like a script or lines in front of him. I don't know how he does it. He's got like cheat codes or something, but I will say this, I'm serious, dude. I'm serious, man. It's crazy. But if you want to know where you are on a woman's priority list, at least from a sexual standpoint, and this is real simple. She sucks your dick. Okay. A woman if a woman is sucking your dick, you are high up on her priority list, because a girl could be fucking 5 different dudes, right? She's only sucking the dicks of maybe 2 of those guys, possibly. And the thing is this, girls don't want to be fucking 8 guys. They want to be fucking 1 guy, right? So the 1 guy she wants to actually stay with, that's the guy's dick who gets sucked the most. So if you want to know where you are on a woman's priority list, she sucks your dick and she always makes plans for you. She's always available to you. I actually had a guy call into my show. I think it was a couple of days ago, and he wanted to know, hey, listen, how do you know a woman prioritizes you? How do you know a woman prioritizes your time? Well, she always makes herself available to you. She's proactive and she's reactive. Hey, you want to come over? Sure. I was going to study for midterm, but yes, now that you are calling me, that's what I'm going to do. So a woman who is always available and a woman who always sucks your dick, you are at or near the top of her priority list.
Yeah, a couple based on a long-term marriage. I mean, once they stop sucking it along the way, you got trouble. And then you got to figure out how to get it back. Motivate.
Go ahead, Ryan.
It's funny too. Yeah, jumping on to Rollo's thing where he's talking about, and you're 100% right. It's a couple things. It's either you're not the priority, and they'll flat out say that, or she treats strangers better than she treats you. Ooh, that's the other common thread. And
oh my God, dude.
When a lot of guys, they think their girl is crazy, they go, oh, she's crazy. I'm like, well, how is she around strangers? Oh, she's nice and polite. So she knows how to put it away when she wants to. Yeah. And you just gotta, it's an easy thing. Like, she's decided that she's her own center. Take the lead from that. Just do you. If you're going to be 4th priority to her, go out there and be your own 1st priority. Nobody's going to wipe your ass but you.
I get into a lot of trouble sometimes when I look at these pictures. Like, guys, ever since I started doing this, I get guys sending me these pictures of these couples, right? So it's like there's the guy and the girl. Yeah, exactly. And it sort of came to a head with the Mika and Joe Scarborough thing, because in damn near every one of the pictures that I looked up on Google Images, she looks like she's Claire Underwood from, House of Cards. I mean, she's like right in front of them. It's like she wants to present this image like they're this power couple. And when you look at the body language between them, and if you look at like how he's really subordinate to her in so many different ways, people think I'm crazy when I say that. Oh, that doesn't mean anything. She was just doing this, or I'm like, no. When you see that as a constant, where she's looking off into the distance, or you're there and the guy's like, I think it was I saw pictures of Cassie J and her new fiance or husband or something, like they might be married. Wait a minute, now.
I'm sorry. Cassie J as in
Cassie J, yeah, as in
she's getting married?
Shit, yeah, to one of the and this dude is easily one of the textbook blue pill. And in every single, I'll show you the pictures, but in every single picture, she's like looking away and I'm in love, and he is like leaning in, trying to kiss her, and he's grabbing her as if it's like he's mate guarding. It's like this body language is sub communications where he's mate guarding, and you can tell just from pictures like that where that guy fits in that woman's priority list. And so that guy is definitely not number 1, because in the back of her head, he is maybe number 2 or number 3 or number 4, because she's still kind of, her subconscious and her hindbrain is advertising, I'm still available if an alpha really wants me, but I'm with this guy, you know, and I'm really in love. But it's not, because it's a form of advertising is what it is. And so I look at these pictures, and these guys will send me these pictures and they'll say, what do you think of this? Is this an alpha tail or is this a beta tail? And the only time I think of an alpha tail or when a guy is the #1 priority is when I see that woman looking at him and focusing on him and putting her attention on him. That's when I know that that dude is #1. And even if the guy is not necessarily what you would think of as alpha, he is alpha to her because she has placed him as that #1. Is she sucking his dick? Yeah, she's probably sucking his dick. But she's doing more than that. She's admiring him. She's waking up in the morning and going, God damn, I'm glad I'm with this dude. You know, or what are we going to do today? You know, how am I going to fit into this guy's frame today? And so there's this almost unspoken, unconscious recognition that she's with the guy who is the #1, you know, priority in her life, and she's going to put him first. I think a lot of like trad cons and red pill women want to think that that's what they're doing, but they're not doing that. Even when they're bullshitting about like, oh yeah, I'm going to put my man first if he's A, B, C, D and meets all my requirements. That's bullshit. I think a lot of it comes down to like the fact that they subscribe to what I've called the cult of the child. They want to put the child before anything else, and then maybe the guy comes after that, and maybe the relationship and the marriage comes in after that. So,
look who we got.
Oh, hey, we got him now. All right, Carl's here. Yeah.
Oh, this is ridiculous, dude. Yeah. He's leaning in for the kiss.
Yeah. Just look at some of these.
Oh, he looks happier than she does. Oh my God, he smiles in every picture. Jesus fuck, dude. Honestly,
I could probably
cheating on him right now.
Yeah.
Listen, he's hugging her from behind and he's trying to kiss her on the cheek, and she looks uncomfortable. Oh, this is all this.
Yeah, I was in add too that I support particularly what Ryan said about watching how she treats strangers. Because specific large-scale actions like her blowing you all the time, that could be genuine, that she sees you as her #1 or whatever. Could also be manipulation or game playing or fuck knows what.
That too. Yeah. But, and what are the signs to know that, right?
Yeah, well, I think it's the micro expressions, how she treats strangers. Does she admire you? Do you actually feel that, or is that just bullshit in your head?
So it's her reputation is what matters. So you watch how she treats her reputation.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, I'm not particularly from my own experience. I'm not too keen on big actions like that. I mean, that's great if she's blowing me, but it could be all kinds of reasons.
I will tell you this: back when I was married, we actually went to marriage counseling. Right?
Oh God!
That's
marriage counseling. Jesus Christ!
I listen, man. I'm telling you, man. My story, my journey to the red pill is unbelievable. A lot of people think it just happened in one fell swoop. No, it took me 32 years to find the red pill. But I remember we're sitting in the marriage counselor. Of course, she's a fucking woman. And so I said to her, I was like, look, man, like my wife treats strange. I literally told her this. I was like, dude, she treats strangers better than she treats me. Like, what the hell is up with that? Like you like she needs to treat me, she needs to treat me like she treats strangers. If she treated me like she treated strangers, we wouldn't be here. So yeah, I totally agree with Ryan on that 100%. If she treats strangers better than she treats you, then dude, yeah.
She treated the marriage counselor as like a buffer, right? So she could say she tried everything.
Oh my God. Well, you know what? We stayed married for another 3.5 years after that, but yeah. And no. Oh my God, you guys are, dude. Marriage counseling was my idea. Oh God, I'm gonna turn.
Oh wow, nice.
I'm turning off my mic now. I'm hanging my head.
We learned the hard way. Whatever.
Oh, fuck, man. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think like what Ryan just said. Women do that just to save face. It's just like crossing the T's and dotting the I's. It's bullshit for an exit.
Right.
Yep. Hey, let's take some calls. Like Rolla said, let's get this going.
Call in, guys. Call in 914-205-5356. That is the number to call. The call software is up now. I think we said we were going to touch briefly again on this mass shooter. Yeah, I mean, listen, we don't have to spend all day here. I think it's, I think all the undertones are pretty obvious. But even though we talk about this seemingly every week, to me, it goes without saying that, repetition is the key for anyone out there who refuses to believe that what all of these mass shooters have in common is it's some fucked up thing happening with a woman. Either he's not getting laid, somebody fucked him over, some girl cheated on him. What they all have in common is that they're not good with women. That's the moral of the story.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think we're being really flippant about it. I mean, with every other week, there's another shooting these days, and I mean, we're getting desensitized to this, but also in that desensitization, I think that we're really kind of ignoring the signs here. I mean, I have all reason to believe that this new guy was autistic, had some sort, maybe he had Asperger's syndrome, maybe he had something else, wrong with him. And so that they're going to, come out with all of the reasons for why this guy is
fucking video games.
A killer. Yeah, video games, or it's toxic masculinity. I mean, let's run down the list. That's what was the first thing I said, was like, let's run down the list. We're going to talk about it's misogyny. It's, we need more feminism. Let's just, because it's always, they run down this checklist of rationales for it. But what they don't see, or they don't want to see, is that the guy really, was fucked over a long time ago. And it's not that some woman owes him, any attention or something like that. But it's just like, at one point, what stage are we going to recognize that the commonality for all these guys is the fact that they can't get laid?
Yeah, he perceives an injustice because he's given the wrong set of information to base his worldview on.
Right.
Now, what we got to figure out is, why is this only started to happen in the last 10 years and not 25 years ago? Was this going on?
Now you know what? That's a good question. I think I might have part of the answer. Part of the answer is the age of the internet. And, I think that could be the answer for a lot of different things. But now,
force multiplier.
Say again.
The force multiplier.
Well, there you go. Yeah, it's probably the third or fourth multiplier at this point. But the internet just allows people to consume content to make them even more angry. And I think that, and there's and listen, girls are not kind to guys on the internet. They make fun of these incels. Haha, I fucked him over. Fuck you. You can't get laid. Blah 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 blah. Like, they see this stuff and they internalize it, and pretty soon they lose their fucking minds. That and social media, of course. We actually have a caller on the line.
Let's take
Go to
him.
the front of the line.
Area code 585. You are on live with the Red Man Group. What you got?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, I'm on headphones. Shout out to Rolla over there. This is, that's the reason I'm here, obviously. And I talked to him just the other day. Can you still hear me?
Yep. Yeah,
Yep.
I can. What's up?
Talked to him I shouted out to him on Twitter the other day. In a big
Cool.
test. And everything's cool. I'm 26, by the way. I'm a dentist, so life's going good. Put myself, as my own mental point of origin, so everything's fantastic. What I wanted to say was, one of the most important things I learned was basically the nip it in the bud principle. When something starts up with whoever you're with, how important that just initial hit is when you say stop it, or whatever
Yes.
you do to just stop bad behavior before it starts, whether it's just shutting them down totally, or whatever. I mean, that's just helped me so much. I'd never even thought of that before I read your stuff, which was a little around 4 years ago when I first, read that stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I think, I think that kind of comes back to shit tests and frame, and understanding what that frame is. I've always told guys, when the frame that you enter into a relationship with is the frame that you're going to be starting from if you are ever to get into, say, a marriage or something like that. And you will see testing of that frame. I've written several articles about shit tests and the subconscious, kind of latent purpose of why women do that. Women think that they don't shit test, or they don't think that they're doing that, but they don't realize that they are doing that. They don't realize that they're testing for fitness for both sides of hypergamy, which is alpha fucks and beta bucks. So when you are in a dating situation, when you're single, women give you what I call active shit tests, where they're like, they're trying to rib you, and they're trying to see if you get it, and they're trying to see if you're a guy who is really has an alpha mindset, or is an alpha guy, or if you're just faking it. There's this sort of filtering that women like to do when it comes to guys to see, A, are they worth fucking, and then B, are they somebody who is, like, say, boyfriend material or relationship material. And I think that's the active shit test. And then when you get into an LTR, that's when the passive shit tests come, because what the dynamic changes in that, and in a way that the woman is already committed to you, and she's already has some sort of investment in you emotionally, or investment in you in a family situation. And then she's when they're in an LTR, the passive shit tests come as the question, is this guy the best I could do? Can I do better? Is this guy really she's trying to convince herself as that she should be with this guy, or that she's making the most of her hypergamy, while she's still good looking enough to maybe swap this guy out for something else or some other dude. Especially in this day and age where divorce is really, really easy, those shit tests have turned into what we call divorce porn. So we can watch these, we can watch these movies that say, "Oh, it's so much, the grass is so much greener if you just you ditch your husband," and how Stella got her groove back, or Eat, Pray, Love. That kind of mentality. All those movies were really prompted by that passive shit test, and a guy's failing that. And so Eat, Pray, Love seems like this great idea. Now we live in a time where I don't have to be bonded to this guy, and I don't have to worry about destroying my family or anything else, because it's all about me. And it's really playing on this solipsistic nature of women. But those shit tests, those passive shit tests, really kind of come in LTRs, whereas the active ones come when you're dating, or when you just meet that girl. And so I think a lot of guys need to sort of separate and make a distinction between those two. But yeah, I'm glad you picked up on that. I'm glad. I think that's a real art. If there's an art to game in marriage, it's understanding those tests and understanding the real latent purpose and the real message behind those.
Hey, you weren't put on this earth to eat shit for a living, so fuck it.
Right. It's all about frame.
You want me to tell you the most recent thing that happened? So now over the years, there's been many. This is what happened the other day. I'm sure all of you know this. I was talking to a girl. We've been seeing each other, dating. Not exactly a girlfriend. She said, "Hey, there was this guy. I met him, and he was so cool. He was from out of town, and why don't we go all get coffee or whatever? And you can meet this cool dude. He's yeah, I know."
Wow.
She didn't say dude. She said this person. I made a new friend. I said, "Is it a dog?" She said, "No, it's not a dog." I said, she said, "What are you talking about?" And I said, "I'll see you later." That's what I said. I said, "Bye." And I didn't talk to her. I just left it like that. I'm telling you, she came back. She was
blowing up your phone.
She was devastated. All this other stuff. She canceled everything that she had. She said, "I'm never gonna talk to this guy." But what I would have done in the past if I hadn't gone, I'm talking about years and years ago, before I knew any of this stuff, I would have gone, first of all. Second of all, if I was going to argue about it, I'd say, "This isn't fair. If I did that with a girl, you would, if I did that with a girl, how would you feel?" None of that. Why bring arguments? Why bring logic into that? Of course they're not going to do stuff that's fair. I just said bye. And that's my attitude with everything. A girl once said, she got a girl I was seeing, just dating, said, I've got to go to the hospital. I feel sick. I'm going to go to the ER. And I said, "Okay, have fun." She talked to me later when we were, watching a movie. She stopped the movie and said, You didn't even care. You didn't even care that I was in the. I said, "No. And if you have a problem with that, you can go." She went to the bathroom, cried for 2 minutes, came back out, and cuddled up next to me.
There you go.
And
man.
so I have to thank you again. Just passing those shit tests, it keeps the frame, and you can do that for forever. And if you leave and they say, and they never come back, or if you walk out or tell them to walk out and they never come back, then
fuck them. Yeah, they were never going to stick around anyway. Right.
Right. I think a lot of guys, especially when they're in that beta blue pill mindset, they would do exactly what you're talking about. They would try to make it better. They would try to smooth it over. I know, because back in my own blue pill days, I would have done probably exactly the same thing, because guys are natural problem solvers. But when you combine that problem solving nature with the blue pill and wanting to appease women and wanting to be serviceable, I guess, to women, that's when you get yourself into trouble, and that's when you lose frame. And yeah, you're exactly right. You probably would just be, trying to smooth things over and make things right with her. But what you did right is I think a key element to red pill awareness and to game, which is demonstrate, do not explicate. And so when guys say, "Oh, well, you got to have boundaries with your girlfriend," great, fine, have boundaries, but demonstrate those boundaries. Don't explain don't give ultimatums. Ultimatums are just I say they are declarations of powerlessness. It's like when you're that desperate to to say, okay, bitch, if you don't do what I say, then I'm out of here. Well, fine. You know what you do? You don't say that. You're just out of there. You do exactly what you just did. You demonstrated it and did not explain it to her so that she can go, this guy's all talk. You know?
Let me add to that, Rollo. he mentions something very important that I talk about an awful lot. He says in his past, he would have said, well, you wouldn't like it if I met a girl and I wanted us all to go to coffee. Listen, man, never, ever tell your woman to put the shoe on the other foot or play the situation out. Like what if the roles are reversed? Listen, guys, it never goes well. Here's why. Because in this particular situation, what a woman would do, let's just play it out. Well, how would you like it if I met a girl and I wanted us all to go to coffee? You know what she's going to say to you? She's going to say, well, I would be perfectly fine with it. I would be completely okay with it because I trust you and I would want to get to know your friend, right? That's what she's going to do. And women will always be okay with putting the shoe on the other foot until, of course, the shoe is put on the other foot. So there's no need to go into any explanations. Never, ever, ever do that, because they will always tell you that they're going to be okay with you doing what it is that they don't really want you to do.
Talk is cheap.
Right. Talk is cheap, man. I don't give a fuck. Never, ever say, well, put yourself in my situation. Nah, bitch. Dude, you handle that correctly, man.
Yeah.
Some of the best lines some of our guys use after a while is when they do that, and you got to trust your gut. A lot of guys, in their gut, they kind of know, like, this is a date you're going on, isn't it? And they kind of, but they don't want to look like they're angry or look butt mad. It's like, fuck, you're gonna look butt hard if your wife's on a date with a guy. That's how it works. But they'll say, yeah, my wife doesn't go on dates with other dudes, and you just leave it. That's the only thing you say, like, because it's honestly, it's that. It's you're letting her know what your boundaries are. You're not saying don't do it. For some reason, as soon as you tell a girl to do something or not to do something, they're gonna do it just because I don't know, the Spice Girls or something.
Well, you know,
yeah,
we were just talking.
This is not what I put up with.
We were just talking about, you know, what are the signs and what are the indications that you are, you know, where you kind of fit on a woman's priority level. If she's saying, hey, I'm going to go have coffee with this guy, I've got this new dude friend, I know where I am on your priority list now. I was like, I'm not as high as this dude who you want to go have coffee with. So, all right.
That's true. The tone. Is it on a tone where it's something she has to do and she's trying to convince you that it's not going to be bad? Or does she come with like a flippant, like, I don't even care what you think. You are right there.
Yeah. Good call. Good call.
Yeah, very good call. Yeah, we got another caller on the line. Area code 708. 708, you are on live with the Redman Group. What's on your mind, brother?
Hey, guys. Can you hear me?
Sure can.
Mm-hmm. Loud and clear.
Gentlemen, all right. Pleasure to talk to you. Just wanted to go over a couple things that I'm struggling with. I'm doing everything right. I turned 40 in August, never married, no kids, own a business, you know, good six-figure income, no debt. I'm well on my way to becoming, you know, hopefully seven figures in the next couple of years.
Shit, he's the unicorn, man.
I'm just struggling with, I'm not trying to be arrogant. I'm just, you know,
I got
everything's
you.
going good.
Oh, don't hedge. Don't fuck.
Be like you're goddamn right on the fucking unicorn, goddammit.
What comes next? You know, I'm doing everything right. It's just I look at my buddies, they all, you know, got wives and kids, and it's just I'm looking at them, I'm like, I don't know if I want that, but at the same time, maybe I do want a son. You know, it's just what comes next. I'm struggling there. You know, I'm turning 40, and it's like, if I'm going to do it, I better do it soon. But you know, it's tough to me to, you know, the right one. I don't know if that exists. So I don't know. Do you guys have anything for me? And,
spoiler alert, she doesn't exist. I'll just go ahead and let you know right now. Rolla, I think you're probably the most qualified to lead off on this one. What comes next? Like, the guy's done everything right. He's got the, you know,
what do you want to come next? Really, I mean, that's the thing is, yeah, you're right. You're in a position right now that a lot of men would be envious of. I would think so. I mean, considering the state of marriage and considering the state of intersexual dynamics, and even in the social realm, you have what a lot of guys would really want, is to understand. You understand the game. You're actually kind of like emancipated from being, you know, used or manipulated, or at least you can't plead ignorance right now, I guess is what I'm trying to say, is you can't plead ignorance in that you didn't know any better. You do know better. So you are at a point right now where you can make an informed decision. So if you decide that you want to have a son and you want to start a family, I mean, there's nothing wrong with starting a family. There's nothing wrong with doing that. If you're doing it from a perspective where you are you're the primary, it's your frame, where you are, you can get into a relationship where a woman, truly admires you and wants to work with you. I think that the biggest hurdle you will have, well, first of all, I think you need to make the decision for yourself. You need to say, what do I want? I'm 40 years old. I'm mature. I've got my shit together. I understand
your life.
Man.
Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. If I was in your position right now, I probably would kill myself with all the options and just running around, doing stuff that I would be wanting to do. But I mean, it would just out of just exhaustion, trying to follow up on all this stuff. But I think really the first step is you got to really have some introspective, and it just takes some time off, man. Just go and take a week to yourself, go do whatever the hell you want to do, and hang out with friends or whatever. But just use that as a time to sort of decide, okay, plan ahead. What do I want my life to look like when I'm 50? And do I want a kid? Do I want a family? Do I want to have a woman? Well, if that's the case, then how am I going to achieve that in a red pill aware way? And what are the list of things that I need for myself to achieve that or to get into that? I'm not saying you should go get married. I'm just saying that maybe you should, think about what it is that you want to do. Everybody thinks, well, Rolla's giving us advice, you'll go get married. Well, no, I'm not saying that. If that's the decision you make, then that's the decision you make. But you go in with full knowledge. You go in with like, okay, I know the risks, and these are the risks that are acceptable to me, and these are the risks that are not acceptable to me. And maybe that's not it. Maybe you just want to have a really long, steady girlfriend. Maybe you just want to have, if you want a son or you want a daughter, you want kids with you, you're not getting any younger. I mean, there is something to be said about having kids a little bit younger in life. My daughter was born when I was 30. Right. So was I, fully aware and fully actualized as a red pill guy when that happened? No, but I'm kind of glad that I did it earlier rather than later, because I see these guys who are like 38, 40, 45 who have kids right now, and they're going to be entering into these stages of maturity as a man that parenthood puts you into. And they're going to be like my age when their kid is like 10 years old. So there's something to be said about that. I'm not saying you're making up for time, but I'm just saying you're in the ideal position, I think, for guys to actually do what the hell that you want to, and do it from an informed position. So just figure out what it is that you want to do, and then just go for it. Really.
Listen, I think he may have indirectly told us what it is he really wants. He says, I might want a kid. Listen, you don't say I might want a son if you don't really want a son. So keep it real. Like, are you thinking about having kids? Is that something that you want in the not too distant future?
Donovan, I think about it.
I'll help you here. Flip a coin.
Flip
a coin. Heads is kids, tails is no kids. If it
That's
lands
just
on one
pulling a
and start
trigger.
arguing the point, you know exactly which one you want.
You gotta do it.
Yep.
Sorry.
Yeah, I think Ryan's right. It's funny that he should say flip a coin, because there was a time when I was deciding whether or not I wanted to stay in Los Angeles or if I wanted to move up north to Lake Tahoe, and I was like, well, I don't know if I want to do it. And a guy said, just flip a coin, and really that's how I made the decision. I was like, okay, I'm out. I'm gonna just go to Tahoe now, and it was literally came down to a coin toss, because it was just pulling a trigger. It was just deciding where I wanted to go and what I wanted to do.
No, kid, listen.
I think
have kids that's not something you flip a coin. I mean, I guess we're all talking.
It's not about the coin.
Pulling it. Yeah, it's not about the coin though.
No,
it's like,
just wanted to make that.
Let's get Tex in on this.
No,
Tex in
you're
those kids.
I mean, you're in a position of strength. I mean, my grandma used to say, "You ain't bragging if you can back it up." So everything you told us about your life is pretty damn good. Just make sure, like Royo said, maintain your frame. I love that, man, Royo. Maintain your frame at all times, and then if you decide you want to have kids, you'll know you want to have kids, and then make sure you choose your partner with impeccable standards. So you're going to be with her for 20 years.
Yeah, for 50. So when he's about 55, he will have found someone worthy to have his kids. There you go. 15 years. Perfect.
I appreciate that, guys. Thank you very much.
Thanks for calling, man. Area code 716. You are live with the Red Man Group. What's on your mind, brother?
Hey, guys. How you doing today?
Good.
Hey.
Good. Hey, listen. I got a question regarding possible. You got the women in their menstrual cycle, so you got the alpha phase, you got the beta phase. Okay. Can guys get in trouble acting alpha in the beta phase when it comes to possibly harassment.
Oh, yes.
So do you think the women could actually be in the beta phase? Guy comes in acting alpha. Oh my God, hashtag me too. Are guys getting in trouble? The being in the wrong phase with the woman, do you think? And I'll hang up and listen, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for that. Now, when he says beta phase,
he's talking about a thing. Actually, it sort of goes back to my first talk at the 21 convention, which was hypergamy micro to macro, and this is the micro part of it. I talk about ovulatory shift for women. In their proliferative phase, they are looking for more masculinized faces, more masculinized features. They're looking for really that kind of alpha male guy, that guy who they want to breed with. That's how I kind of rationalize, I guess, alpha fucks and beta bucks in women, because in one part of their ovulatory phase, or menstrual cycle, they are really predisposed to having sex with the guys who are more, like I said, masculine. There's a great book, and I don't have it here with me right now, but it's by Dr. Marty Hasselton, who's been studying this kind of stuff for 25 years now, doing all research. She's a doctorate. She has evolutionary psychology at UCLA. Anyways, what she found was that women tend to be more restless when they're in their, it's called the proliferative phase. It's like I think about the 7 days before she actually ovulates, that she's looking for a guy to basically fertilize her. The guy who is like, above average, the hot, sexy fireman guy. That's the dude that she's looking for during that alpha, what I call the alpha phase. Then after she's ovulated and she gets into what's called the luteal phase, where she's sort of flushing out her system. That's when she gets PMS. That's when she starts looking for comforting features. She's looking for more feminized features in guys. That's when she calls her emotional tampons to complain about the alpha dude. She's looking for her orbiters to go and pat her on the back and say, "It's okay, don't worry, he's a bastard."
Is there an article on this?
Oh yeah, there's a whole book on it, man. Just read I'll send you I've got a great post called "Your Friend Menstruation" that will
wonderful
explain that. I can't believe you're actually hearing this for the first time.
Oh yeah, you're blowing my mind.
But, or just watch my first talk for the 21 convention. Anyways, in the luteal phase, she's looking for more comfort, rapport. She's looking for that beta provisioning, because she wants to know everything's going to be all right. The reason for that, and this is something new that I learned from reading Hormonal, which is the book from Marty Hasselton. When a woman gets into that phase, when she's in the luteal phase, she is, and this goes back to the question, she's looking for a guy, she's looking for comfort, she's looking for support, she's looking for help, for help from her girlfriends. She's not feeling, quite the way she was when she was, hot and active in her proliferative phase. And the reason for that, this is the theory, is that it's sort of a short-term period of nesting. She might think that she's actually pregnant, and so she kind of puts her mentality into this nesting mode, and so she's hoping that she's going to be pregnant, and she's hoping that the sex she had in her alpha phase is going to take, and so she's wanting support, and she's needing people to come and help her out and be familiar faces and to love on her and everything. And then the cycle repeats itself. Once she's done with that, then the luteal phase, and she goes back to the alpha phase, and she's starting to look for more alpha guys. So can a guy get into trouble during that luteal phase? Yes and no. I think it just depends on the impact of that alpha. I always tell guys, I said, hypergamy is not a straitjacket. I can tell you, I'll just give you a quick personal example of what I mean by that. Is I can tell you, back in my rock star 20s, there were at least 2 or 3 girls that I had sex with that were like same night lays. And of those women, I think 2 of them were actually on their period. They were on the rag right then when I met them. But that puts them in that luteal phase. That puts them in that one. But the thing is if a guy makes a strong enough alpha impact during that phase, she's going to, push off those feelings so that she can lock down that alpha, so that when she comes back around into her alpha phase, that guy is still going to be there. They always talk about how women will have sex with guys and not have an orgasm. Okay, they won't have an orgasm because they're not that. They say, well, they're not that into it. Well, but they'll still have the sex. Or we'll talk about non-enthusiastic sex, where it's kind of like this meh sex is what they call it, like this gray area sex. But the woman is still having that sex. And why is she doing that? Why is she why is she just having sex that she doesn't want to have? Well, most likely It's because that she is in her luteal phase and she's in what I call the down cycle. She's in the beta phase. And so what happens is can a guy get in trouble? Sure. But I'm not going to say like on the first pass or the second pass or the third pass. I don't know, because I think it's sort of contextual with the woman and what she thinks about it. So if she keeps coming back to the asshole alpha all the time, but she has like beta orbiters to sort of lift her up and to support her when she gets into her luteal phase, maybe not. I think I do understand the concern, particularly in the age of Me Too. But I would say it really kind of depends on the alpha impact and the guy who was alpha when she was in that phase and she was having, pre-ovulatory sex with that guy, and what her attitude is to him afterwards when she gets into that, that stage where she needs that comfort. So can you do that? Yeah, sure. But I don't know. I think it's really more important to have a strong alpha impact that carries through all stages of her menstrual cycle.
Now, see that to me, that blew my mind. And guys, listen, man, I've had a lot of success with women, and I've never heard anything like that in my life. Dude, guys, this is free information, man. And I'm telling you, I learned just as much from my audience and from you guys as I do when I teach the world. That to me, that was solid gold, dude. I've never thought of it that way.
Here, I'm gonna post this in our chat, and then if you guys want to copy and paste that into the YouTube chat, that's fine. Actually, I think I can do that, can I? Yeah. This is what I'm posting here right now is the link to that article that I wrote. It's called Your Friend Menstruation. It goes through how you can use ovulatory shift as a sort of a guide to help you with your game, really. I mean, that's all I've been doing that for a while. I think, gosh, when did I write that? I think I wrote that back in 2012.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Listen, now you're making me look.
Yeah.
That's old news. It's like a decade ago.
Yeah.
Dude, 2012 to 2014 has so much gold in it. I honestly think of it as like the red pill golden years.
Golden age.
I want to get one question in because I just got a question texted to me for Anthony. It's about seeking arrangements, and that's why I wanted to ask you, because I don't know. I've never done seeking arrangements, and this might benefit some of the listeners as well. Do you pay for seeking arrangements, or how does it work? I just wanted to get an idea, because I got some people who are asking me about, they might actually be in a stage where they're like restarting their lives, or this guy who called in, this what reminded me of it. This guy who was 40 and has everything going for him in his life, but it's like, how do you get into seeking arrangements, and how does that work for you?
Yeah, so I personally don't pay any of the girls, of course, for many reasons. So if you're a sugar daddy, though, you're supposed to do that. But I'm not a sugar daddy. I'm a salt daddy.
Yeah, there you go.
They get sugar, but it's very salty, and that's all they get.
But do you pay for the service itself? Are you like a member of a service or something?
Yeah.
How does that work? How does a membership work? I think that's what I was asking.
The women don't have to pay for anything, as far as I know. I haven't made a female account yet, but as far as I know, they don't have to interact. But as a man, you have to pay for it, so it sucks. So I don't use it all the time. Like every few months, I'll get back on it, and then I'll stop, because it's $80 a month, or 90 sometimes. It's crazy.
What's the price? It's $80 a month,
though. Usually, yeah. And that's month to month. If you do yearly, it's probably cheaper or something.
And so, like, how does that differ from, like, say, Tinder or something like that? Are you more in control for that?
Well, it's quadruple the price. So number one, it's just like, am I really going to drop $80 a month on this, or am I going to go on Tinder? Because it's like a value proposition. Do I want to drop $20 a month on Tinder Plus or free, or $80 a month on seeking arrangement and bang, basically wannabe escorts who are like kind of pseudo escorts, but for free. So what was your question though specifically again?
I just want to know, like, how does it compare to Tinder, but also but so
let me hit that before
do you still need to use game? Is it just like a sure thing?
No. So the big difference between Tinder and seeking arrangements is that the girls on seeking arrangements are always ready to go. They're always on. They're on there specifically to basically get as much money as they can and but fuck as minimally as possible, unless they encounter a guy who they think is a unicorn, which is what I play. They basically, a lot of girls on there have called me, what is it from the movie, Christian Grey. So I bumped my age a little bit. I say I'm like 31 instead of 29. And then you actually set your own value for how much you're worth in money. So I put like $10 million.
So you actually have to put that on as like your profile, like how much
and you pick it, and you can get it verified if you want, but I don't get it verified, and I think they just assume it's all legit. So they see me.
Wow.
Well, so they see me like shirtless, right? They see I'm like the CEO of some company. I don't put the company name, and then they see that I'm young, I'm attractive. Compared to the other guys, I'm like a fucking 11. Because most guys on there are like fat, old, and balding. I mean, that's why they're on there. They can't bang any other women. So I go on there. I'm like, hey, like I'm worth $10 million. I'm 31. I'm hung like a horse. And then I'm always like kind of like Ryan's pointed out. In general, with Tinder, or when I meet women out, I'm very aggressive and assertive. But with seeking arrangements, I take it to the next level. It's nothing but sexual content, nothing. Because I don't want to deal with women who are just like very diligently after the money. I want the girls who are like kind of into it, kind of not. So they're on Tinder and seeking arrangement at the same time usually. So I end up kind of fitting into their head as some guy who they think is hot. So it'll be fun if they fuck me, and they'll get a bunch of money. But we never kind of discussed that. And then from what I understand of how it's going on in their head, they just like me. And then they're like, it's a value proposition. They're like, do I want to risk offending this guy and getting him, pushing him away? Or can I just get money from some other guy, some other chump, and then just keep banging this guy? And in their heads, they'll just rationalize it. It's just the hamster take control.
Does the app, or I guess it's an app, right? The seeking arrangements.
It's a website and an app. Yeah, it's old school.
Does it pay the girls for going out to see you or something? How do they do?
No. They got to get the money from you directly.
Oh,
yeah.
I see.
Seeking arrangements doesn't transfer the money.
I'm just going to ask the obvious question because I'm sure it's going to get asked in the chat. Like, doesn't this like predispose women to being like these super gold diggers?
Yeah, I mean, it facilitates gold digging is really what it's doing. It's about, I should mention,
I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I think it's great. I think, so let me mention this too. The quality of women, well, I'm using that term loosely, but the quality of women on seeking arrangements physically is a lot higher, not a lot higher, but it's significantly higher than Tinder. Because if they're not hot, they're usually not going to get a lot of money or bang a lot of guys.
Yeah. What's the demographic for the girls that are on there? Like, are they like from like 20 to 30s? Or, I mean, are there older women on there? I don't know.
There's some older women. I've seen up to 40s and 50s, but that's pretty rare. Usually it's 30s and 20s, and then a couple like late teens. But the best ones are like 19 to like 23, because usually that's the first time on there, so they don't know about salt daddies. I'm not the only guy doing this, and a lot of guys that do seeking arrangements are going to hate me for talking about this. I actually posted on a large kind of pickup PUA group on Facebook once, and I got instantly banned because a lot of the mods do this, and they're like, "Shut the fuck up!" Like it's a gold mine, and it's legit. Like if you have any decent game and you have a frame, like I'm going to bang these girls and I'm not going to pay them. I don't give a shit. I mean, if you fuck them good anyway, they're not going to care. They just want alpha fucks and beta bucks. So where do you fit into that?
Yeah, listen, somebody just said in the chat, are dudes really considering tricking on women? No, you are tricking women. Like this is what this is. Like that's what this is. And if any woman is watching this, or any wannabe alpha who's basically a beta male in alpha's clothing says, "Oh my God, you're deceiving women," or "Oh my God, I can't." No, listen, no. Women do this to men all the time, dude. Let
me tell you this. I fucked the hottest woman in my life from seeking arrangements. She was half black, half Persian. She was fucking beautiful. When I fucked her in LA, she rolled up in a Bentley. I didn't even know what it was. I hadn't seen one in a while. I'm like, "Yeah, what kind of car is that?" She's like, "Bentley." Just like stone, and fucked her 15 minutes later. So it's just awesome. You bang super hot women. You don't pay them shit. They end up liking you, and they drive like super nice cars because some dude that's like 80 years old is paying for it. So they don't. Yeah, it's a fucking wild time. And actually, one of the speakers got me into it. One of the fitness speakers, actually, ironically. So.
Well, that was my question.
Yeah, who got me into it? Yeah, he didn't recommend like lying like I did about my value. He was like, "Oh, you could just be honest. You could tell them you're going places, and they'll probably bang you." And I was very skeptical in general. I was like, why the fuck am I going to do this? I can just go to bars. I can pick up girls there. I can go on Tinder. I can go on Bumble.
Yeah, then you fuck one of them.
Yeah. But seeking arrangements, it's fun. It's like a sport. And these girls are manipulating men anyway all the time to get money out of them.
Man,
so I don't give any fucks about it.
Sounds like topless dancers just online, right?
Yeah, no, it's a lot of girls too, though, that are like, yeah, there is a lot of girls on there some girls on there are just fucking escorts or hookers, basically. But a lot of them are just girls who are like everyday American girls in college, and they hear about this thing, and they're like, "Oh, I can get a bunch of money from some beta chump." and they'll kind of like lightly dabble in it, and they'll maybe go on a date. A lot of guys flake. I don't. I roll up like in a minivan if I'm like traveling or something. I actually rolled up with it when I fucked a sugar baby in less than an hour after landing in Denver one time.
Oh my god!
I rented a minivan specifically. I was like, I don't know if this is gonna happen, but just in case, let me get the minivan. And sure enough, yeah, it was awesome. It's a lot of fun.
Did you added like a child car seat in there just because?
Jeez.
Sorry about that. Let me put that in the back.
All the seats laid flat, so it was really nice.
Dude, basically what this is, man, somebody actually put this in here, says inside scoop on hypergamy. This isn't hypergamy in reverse. This is deceiving women like they deceive men. Like women want men to think that they are something else, and it's just men figuring out what women have done.
I'll say this too.
I mean, I don't think it's deceiving.
Yeah. I mean, my company can be worth whatever anyone's willing to pay for it. So my value, that's kind of up in the air on that. But in terms of like, deceiving them, I'm not promising them any money ever. So I'm not, there isn't any explicit bullshit. All I do is talk about like, I'll send like a dick pic, she'll send nudes back. We go back and forth. If they try to talk about money, I'm like, oh, we'll talk about it in person. And of course they never do. They don't have the nerve to do it usually with me. With other guys, they might. But with me, I like roll up and we're making out within a few minutes or something. So yeah, yeah. So it's there isn't a lot of explicit. There isn't any explicit deceit. It's just like, I'm this guy. I want to fuck. I'm probably loaded with a bunch of money, but we're gonna fuck anyway, and then whatever happens. So,
that's solid.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, if you're a decent looking dude, you can kill it on seeking arrangements, and you're willing to pay $80 a month. It's not bad. Not bad.
Good, very good, very good. 914-205-5356. That is the number to call. We had another question that someone had texted. I think they texted it to Rolla for Anthony or something like that.
That was it.
Okay,
that
was the one that we just.
The MAGA salt daddy.
Salt daddy. Are you a sugar daddy? No, sweetheart, I'm a salt daddy. Oh my god, what's that?
I didn't even know what that was until he started calling me that. I'm like, what is that? Yeah. Makes sense.
Not gonna lie, it's starting to make me feel old. I kind of miss the days where you would just have to experience more and different things and then build that network organically like that. Like go to conferences on stuff you wouldn't have interest in, or pick up rock climbing. Rock climbing in Victoria, where I used to live, was a huge pickup community. For some reason, girls with strong grip was like a thing.
Really?
Yeah, well, it's kind of granola town too, right? It's like what San Francisco was like if it knew how to work out. So, yeah, there'd be like rock climbing groups. There was even like a luge group because there's a Washington Mountain was a little ways up. There's always niches. You just got to find more niches.
Yeah, but you don't.
I guess with the seeking arrangements of that, it just cuts out all the extra work and saves some time.
Yeah. All right, got a call in from the 702 Vegas. You are live with the Red Man Group. What's on your mind?
Hey, Donovan, it's Pine.
Hey, what's going on, Pine?
Give a shout out to all. Hey, giving a call, shout out to all you guys. I'm looking forward to seeing you all at the 21 convention. And
hell yeah.
Can you all give me some information, preferably about entertainment-wise, like music, red pill music, some real red pill stuff I can get into, because the simplest shit that's out there is killing me right now.
Yeah, definitely stay away from most country music. I don't know. I would recommend. I don't know. For me, anything NWA, Dr. Dre, dude, everything. Dude, listen, everything Jay-Z does is 100% red pill. Listen, and I don't want to say unfortunately, but a lot of guys are looking for red pill music. And one guy asked in the chat a long time ago, "Hey, I'm looking for red pill music other than rap." I'm like, dude, I don't have an answer for you, man.
I don't know. I don't like my music reflecting my values. I just want a catchy beat, something I can listen to.
It's interesting you say that, because I listen to music just based on the way it sounds. I never listen to lyrics, but every once in a while somebody drops, these hoes ain't loyal. I was like, oh shit, what's that? That was Chris Brown back in 2014. But yeah, those would be my recommendations.
I get what he says. I mean, I'm a musician. I know that Tex is probably a musician too, looking at the back there. But I understand. I get this question a lot. In fact, people have asked me to write a post about that. I think this is probably one thing I haven't written about, but I wrote a post called The Red Pill Lens, and the Red Pill Lens is like, once you become red pill aware, you sort of see all this stuff going on around you. in society, with your friends, with your family. I mean, you can't once you put the red pill glasses on, you can't go back. You can't not
I think I got it.
unsee it. Yeah, and I think that it's important. I'm glad that guys are starting to finally understand. Finally trying to understand that there are the things that are there in their environment, in their media, in their music, in pop culture, is just completely saturated by this blue pill ideals. That's like, if you listen to anything popular music, anything like you would pick up on a top 40 station. I think even like really going back to older music as well. Like if you're listening to stuff from the 70s and the 80s and the 90s and stuff. I mean, people ask me this question all the time, what kind of music it is? Well, I mean, I love thrash metal. I'm an old school 80s metal guy. I like that stuff. But I think that even in the 80s stuff, even in hard rock, we're seeing sort of a shift into this mentality where like all the songs that you would have listened to back in the 80s, like say if you're listening to like the old hair rock and hair metal, the lyrics that they're talking about when it comes to like they're talking about women or how great they are in bed, or their sexual, like I said, their sexual prowess or whatever, like smooth up in that kind of shit. You would never hear a song even considered to be like, what the hell is that?
Give it a smoothie.
You would not even hear music like that being created today, because that's the mentality. Like guys who are creating new music today, and most of it's not all that good, but the guys who are creating that music it would never occur to them to write something like Van Halen did back in the day, or Poison did back in the day, or Motley Crue did back, all those stuff when we're talking about girls and all that other shit. You're never going to hear that kind of stuff anymore. And I'm not saying that was particularly red pill, but it was at least indicative of the mindset of that time. It's like the same thing for like comedians today. Comedians won't go and play college campuses anymore because the audience is too sensitive, and they're all these, they're going to have to retreat to their safe spaces. It's the same thing with music today. So where do you look? I don't know, man. I listen to Slayer.
I think you got to go back to things that you enjoyed in the past, because everything you look at now with a red pill lens, movies, media, books, music, it's all crap now. It's like everything you see. So for me, I go back to the Van Halen and things like that back in my younger days, because I loved it back then. I still love it now, and I don't have to listen to the new crap.
Hey, have we had Carl on yet? Has he said anything?
He hasn't said anything.
Oh my God.
I think he's hungover.
Carl, you live?
Carl's got his mic. Oh, yeah, he unmuted.
There we go.
Yeah, I'm alive, but Ryan is right. I'm really fucking hungover.
100.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, Ryan finally bent the knee and bought a new shirt. So
yeah, just for you.
King Carl. Bend the knee.
I just want to get into one thing here, but I think the three last questions are basically on the same thing. Because you have the school shooter thing, which is basically people not having sex and then killing people. Then you have the what if you act alpha during her comfort phase and you get a Me Too complaint. And this third one is about music and what happens when you can't enjoy life. And I think overall, guys are getting into this weird messaging where the downside of not having sex in a society that's obsessed with it and that's throwing it in your face all the time, they think they're failures. But even statistics show that millennials are not getting laid all that much. So you have a signal that everyone's getting laid, and then you have a reality that says a lot fewer people are getting laid.
Millennial males aren't getting laid. Millennial females are getting fucked like goddamn porn stars. Like let's keep it 100 there.
Oh, I read that San Diego study where they did the survey on that, and it was college educated female millennials. No, like once you get low on the super low. I think it's essentially, like, no offense, like Detroit lower income stuff, and then upper income college stuff. Everybody in the middle is still getting fucked, even the girls, or like getting pinched.
Check this out. If you're a girl and you go to a 4-year school, you're getting fucked. I don't care what your socioeconomic class is. I mean, dude, listen, colleges are literally buffets. They're pussy buffets. Like, honestly, if you go to college, dude, I had no game to speak of in college. And dude, I was fucking girls left and right. No game to speak of.
Well, Donovan, I don't know if you know this, but colleges are also sugar baby factories, particularly Orlando. But they make them. The tuition's so damn high that they go into sugar babying.
I like what Carl said, though. I think you're right. I think it's indicative of this new generation. That we're finally seeing a new generation of guys coming up into adulthood who have been brought up in safe spaces, who have been, completely browbeaten about their masculinity, toxic masculinity, and they need to be emotional, and they need to, they've been raised like they're defective girls. I was just talking about that in my last post. Also, even the music thing. I've got a link in my most recent post about how, really scientifically, music is getting worse because because we have all of this technology that facilitates, creativity, interconnection between people. There was no Red Man Group, there was no game to say in 1995, but that didn't mean that those dynamics were gone, but it's just that the people who were living in that time just were brought up in a different way. And so now you're seeing, school shooters, you're seeing incels running, trucks through crowds of people, and
there's no
you're seeing that. Yeah, exactly. There's no outlet. There's no place to put that sexual frustration. It was Freud said that, all energy is sexual. And so when you can't redirect that sexual energy into something creative, well, then you channel it to something destructive. And I really think that this generation of men are channeling it to destructiveness.
Well, you could just buy a sex doll.
Yeah, let's not go there.
Here we go.
I knew. From now on every show, there's going to be that show.
Yeah, you have a 40-year-old guy. There's your flip a coin. Get a doll or get a kid or something.
Check this out. With regards to the music, it was funny. I was listening to a really famous sports talk radio show a while back, and I remember they were making fun of the social justice warrior environment that we had. And one game they talked about, they said, what if Mike Tyson's Punch Out came out in 2017? Guys were all confused. They're like, no, think about it. Piston, Honda, the Great Tiger with the turban and everything. That game would never make, that game would be on the shelf for 5 minutes before people are outside bitching and protesting. That's where we are with music, man. You can't even start to talk about the real truth about the sexual dynamic between men and women. Otherwise, people go fucking crazy.
And why do they go crazy? Because they have the internet where they've got all these people who are there to back them up.
Dude,
they have all
the internet runs the world, man. There have been more careers ended by social media than anything else in the past 3-4 years. Since when did we allow people who don't really matter dictate whether people get fired or not, right? Like the whole, all of these outrages. It's always Twitter, it's always Facebook, and then companies they overcorrect the situation. They end up firing somebody. Wait, you mean you're gonna listen to the outrage, the angry mob, and determine the direction that your company goes just based on people's emotions? It's ridiculous.
Hey, so we had a question from the chat. I thought we should take. We have a Terry Crews. There's a call for Terry Crews.
Yeah, actually, no, it wasn't a call. It was actually a question. He wants to know what our thoughts are on Terry Crews. Terry Crews.
I don't have any.
Well, the thing is, of course, but Terry Crews. I think the first time we all saw him, I don't know, he might have been Terry Tate, the office linebacker. Maybe I'm thinking of somebody else. We all know who he is. He can shake his tits. He's on Brooklyn 911. Basically the guy's a genetic freak. He's got muscles in his fucking eyeballs, but he all of a sudden he has sort of he's done what Rolla talks about a lot, is he starts off alpha, and then over the past couple of years he has turned into a complete white knight. He talks about toxic masculinity. He talked about having he talked about having a porn addiction. I don't know if that counts for that, but
does that mean banging porn stars in his case?
He's not a porn addiction, so I don't know. He might have been banging porn stars, but he said that apparently he had gone to Capitol Hill and talked about the fact that he had been sexually assaulted, and then someone asked him why he didn't fight back. And I mean, it's like he's become a woman, and you look at the guy, and the guy is, again, he's a genetic freak. How does that happen?
Is he married? Did he just get married? Or did
he's married? He has kids.
Yeah. How long has he been married? Did something change in his
For a
life?
while. Like, I remember about 5 years back, he had a Reddit thing where he had people help build him a PC so he could game with his kid.
Oh
He was
yeah.
a Twitch there for a while, yeah.
Rebecca King Cruz. Okay, she's a white girl and she has very short blonde hair. Think Ludmila Volbit Drago from Rocky or Bridget Nielsen.
Yeah.
Call the manager haircut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's basically dominating in their own, and that's the easy answer. Girls with short hair are always bitches and always hell to deal with.
Yes.
Yeah, like Mika.
I'll add. All right, Rollo, go.
I was just real quickly here. I would say something's probably changed in his life that he feels like it's necessary for him to like step up and like be the. I think one of the things I think that guys like this think that they need to do is like they're big, they're muscular, they're what everyone would say is masculine. They want to be the representative of all guys. They want to speak for men around the world. And whenever I hear any guy step up to a microphone and say, I speak for all men, I think of the guys in the Good Man Project. And those guys are, dear woman, we're sorry. We speak on behalf of all men. Yeah, we're sorry for being such men, and it always comes off. I mean, if there's any indicator that a guy is beta and blue pill, that's it. If he's trying to speak for all men and trying to say he is a representative of conventional masculinity, that I know what I'm dealing with when I do that. And I know what I'm dealing with.
That make me violent thoughts, man. I'm not kidding.
I'll add this real quick. So things may have changed for him in recent years, like the Reddit thing that Ryan mentioned and his kids and stuff like that. But I would also say, and I'll see if Rollo agrees with this or whoever wants to jump in, I would think that part of what we're seeing with Terry Crews is that old blue pill beliefs he's had for a long time are just surfacing because of these events. Mm-hmm. So circumstances may have changed for him, but in his head, a lot didn't. And now we're just seeing that surface over time. Yeah. Whereas before, the appearances were deceiving.
He feels comfortable coming forward now, is what you're saying. And yeah. I think that, and I don't know anything about his wife. I could be mistaken, but if she's short hair and she kind of has that look, I would suggest that there's probably some back and forth between her and him. Now, I'm going to say something here that's going to be probably rub people the wrong way.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah. Okay.
About time.
Yeah. Ready? Okay. I used to be a really big fan of Colin Kaepernick. Okay, I was a big fan of his because he went to UNR, hometown hero, made it big, and I mean, shit, he took the Niners to the Super Bowl, lost, but still took him to the Super Bowl on his like one of his rookie years, I think. Great guy, everybody loves him in Reno. Okay, until he started taking a knee, until he started that he wanted to be Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He wanted to, get his big, huge afro, and he suddenly took an interest in Black Lives Matter. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with Black Lives Matter.
I am.
That's fine. I'm not.
Yeah, you're allowed
to. I'm not getting into that. I'm just saying what I want to focus on is the fact that he made these changes, he made these shifts, and suddenly he's a social justice warrior, and suddenly he's concerned with the plight of Black men, or he suddenly he has all of this social interests that he never had before. And so I'm like, why is this guy doing this now? And so I went and I did a little bit of research, and I found out that he was seeing Nessa Diab. I don't know if you guys know who Nessa Diab is. She was she was on MTV. She was she's a DJ, I think, or a talk show hostess in New York. 36 years old, well past her age of the wall. Now, I'm not saying she's not bad. She's a good looking girl, but like 36, 37, 38 years old, whatever she is, she is well past that. She's well past the SMP phase or her peak. Okay. He's 29. She's 36. He is way overly invested in her. One of the reasons he lost so much weight and he was unable to play for so long is because he decided to go vegan for her. He started taking interest in her political leanings. He started taking interest in her religious leanings. So suddenly this guy who was raised by two white Christian parents is now leaning towards Islam. And why? Because he was beta enough to change his religion for her. He is beta enough to stop eating meat to appease this woman. Is beta also enough to take a knee because it's going to make him seem that much more endearing to this girl that he has a real hard on for. Now, I also looked on this, and she did exactly the same thing with another basketball player, I think. So she has this history of dating these guys who are, top athletes, I guess, and kind of turning them around against, like, should be a good example of the Dangerous Woman show when we do that next week. Okay,
awesome.
She would be a real good example of that, in that she drew him in, and pretty much everything he has done that's been in the public spotlight has been sort of an act of appeasement for his girlfriend. So I'm wondering if there's not an element like this to what's going on with Terry Crews right now. That's why I was asking, well, what's his wife like, or what's his home situation?
Well, my only question on the Terry Crews thing is, if one of you guys walk up and grab me by the junk, I'm probably going postal on your ass.
Yeah.
I don't understand this whole big, manly, muscular guy letting somebody just grab his junk like that. I just don't fucking get it. Where did that, when did that become, is that just Hollywood? What am I missing?
Grab him right back.
Grab him
back,
by the
grab him hard. Don't keep that eye contact.
I think it's just feminism continuing to run its course. Emasculating men and teaching men to tolerate this kind of crap.
Well,
whereas
like too, right? Oh yeah, sorry. Go ahead. I'm cutting you off.
I was gonna say, like, Tex. So you're right. Tex, you're older, and if someone grabbed your dick, you'd probably punch them in the face instantly. It wouldn't even be a thought, and that's normal and that's rational. So
yeah, that's because I'm a rational male.
Yeah, exactly.
But I get with Hollywood, for him, that guy grabbing his ass probably was like, if he did anything to him, he would have been blacklisted. Like, I get that, but at the same time, then you can't bitch because you made a choice. My career is more important than this hand on my ass. Just fucking own it. I think that's the part that bugs me about Terry, is that he's trying to have it both ways like a girl does.
Can't do that.
It doesn't really work that way.
Never works that way, man. Ever. And with regards to Colin Kaepernick, and I'm not going to turn this into a fucking anthem protest podcast, because this thing will go on till fucking tomorrow. But there are always two sides to this. A lot of people, and it's interesting because recently, if I can tie this well, Kevin McHale, who used to be the head coach for the Houston Rockets, was spotted holding up a sign at a Trump rally. So everyone jumped on him. Oh, Kevin McHale must be fired, or he must never be able to work in the NBA again, right? So then we had people talking about, well, wait a minute, Kevin McHale can't be punished for his political beliefs because he's exercising free speech. And the people's objection was, well, listen, freedom of speech doesn't mean freedom from consequences. But those same sons of fucking bitches want to turn around and bitch and complain that Colin Kaepernick has been indirectly blackballed by the league. Listen, bro, you made your choice, man. And the thing is this, whether I agree or disagree with the reasons why he knelt for the national anthem is irrelevant. The point is that you can't piss off the customers. That's what it comes down to. And listen, as Americans, we're allowed to have political free zones. Like, if I want Chinese food, I'm not going to a fucking Mexican restaurant, right? Like, I'm not going to do that. We're allowed to have political free zones. So when people want to say, okay, well, we're going to go after Trump, or we're going to go after the NFL for this new anthem policy, nah, man, like this is totally legit. Colin Kaepernick had every right to do what he did, but guess what? And it's not just freedom of speech. People think that the freedoms that we enjoy in this country, the price should only be paid one time. No, people, there is a residual price that we pay for the freedoms that we have. Just because people died for our freedoms, okay, that was great. We have those freedoms, but guess what? That doesn't mean freedoms are free. There is a residual price to be paid. So if you want to become sort of a quasi martyr, dude, you're gonna have to pay the price, man. Like, that's him and Eric Reed are about to learn a very, very hard lesson, and neither of those guys will ever play in the NFL again.
Well, people gave me so much grief about that when I called them out on that. When I started looking at Nessa Diab's background, I mean, here he is 6 months after they're like an item, and you've got Linda Sarsour. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Linda Sarsour. She's out there wearing a Colin Kaepernick jersey at her talks. She's the Islamic woman who organized the Women's March back, a couple of years ago, or a year ago, February, and very outspoken feminist, but also is notable for also being Muslim. But she's out there with a hijab and a Colin Kaepernick jersey. So you're going to tell me that he just decided to do this on his own? Like, he just said, you know what, I really have this burning desire to know or to wear a T-shirt with Fidel Castro on it. You're going to tell me that this just happened just spontaneously with this guy. He's decided that he wants to be vegan. He's decided that he wants to be, he wants to explore converting to Islam. All of this stuff that happened. Well, what triggered that? What was the catalyst that started this? Him dating this chick. Why? Because he's blue pill and he's beta, and he invests himself emotionally and himself into a woman who sees him as a vehicle for her own social agenda. So when you see him taking a knee and starting this trend amongst the NFL to the point where the NFL is losing money because people don't watch the NFL anymore because they don't want to see that. They don't want to see guys, players who are making millions and millions of dollars taking a knee, particularly during the Veterans Day, games and shit like that.
Oh, is he doing it then?
Yeah, I don't know if they're doing it now. I can remember, and Tex will probably follows this. I don't know if you're a Cowboys fan, but I can remember when Jerry Jones went midfield and took a knee with the entire team of the Dallas Cowboys. And I was looking at this and I'm going, this is the power of blue pill beta men. This is the fallout, because all of this shit was instigated, and the catalyst for it was him trying to appease Nessa Diab. And so when people say, "Oh, well, hypergamy is not that big a deal," or you make so much, you make so much out of blue pill, you make so much out of being beta, no. This is the extent. This is the macro side of hypergamy, micro to macro. He wants to appease this woman. Well, some women can take that and use that guy as a vehicle. They use his social proof, they use his fame to put out the message that they want. And I'm just saying, who's using Terry Crews? Who is using him to go, is he just decided to do this on his own? Or is this, something that's been, he wants to speak for all men? You're not speaking for me, brother. You're doing this for some reason. And I'm not sure what it is. Maybe it's your wife. Maybe you're trying to appease women or womankind, or maybe you just haven't taken women off of the pedestal just yet. But there's a reason for that. And I will tell you, it all comes back to sexual marketplace. It all comes back to hypergamy. It all comes back to blue pill mindset. I will guarantee you that as big and as buff and as alpha as this guy looks, I will guarantee you that this guy has a blue pill mindset. And it's been something that's characterized his personality for a very long time.
And thanks to everybody too. That was 20 minutes of talking about football, and I wasn't lost once. And I know fuck all about football.
Well, it's not even football. People want to throw it back on me about the politics. I'm like, don't ignore the politics. I don't care about the politics. Why did it happen?
It's interesting. And I always say when I talk about abortion, and I'm staunchly against abortion, but guess what? And I'm just using this as an example. If you really want to really strip an issue, a social issue, down to the root and find out what the real issue is, take the politics and the religion out of it. So, for example, with abortion, you don't have to be religious and you don't have to fall on either side of the political spectrum to know that killing people before they're born is the wrong thing to do. To me, it's just so obvious. And here's the thing, man. I don't know what my political affiliation is. I probably skew more to the right than the left, obviously. And I've been in a religious transitional period for going on 3 years. Is there a God? Isn't there a God? I don't know. But I know that killing people before they're born is the wrong thing to do. And that's where I think a lot of people, they get caught up in the flow. And when people have an opposition to a particular issue, sometimes it becomes more about the opposition. People hate Trump more than they like Hillary. Okay, that's why they're anti-Trump. People who are pro-life, or people who are pro-choice, as they say, hate people who are pro-life. That's why they're so pro-abortion and pro-life. But again, if you take out the politics and religion, you see that a lot of times it really is more just about hatred for the opposition. I'm taking my stance because I really hate the opposition, but no one ever really looks inside and says, okay, well, why am I really for or against this particular cause?
Guys, let's shift topics here and take a text question from the YouTube chat. This guy asked the question a few times.
Oh.
Let's kind of go through the row here and see what you guys think about it, if you have thoughts on it. Boo Boo asked, what do you guys think about circumcision and how much sensitivity loss there is because of it? The second part of that question, I'm not super interested in. The first part, I think, is more interesting intellectually. So what do you guys think about circumcision with regard to the red pill, feminism, and the feminine imperative? Carl?
Well, if I'm starting on this question, well, The thing is, the last part of the question, no one can answer that because there's no man who has experienced both sides of it unless he was in his 30s when he got circumcised, and that was probably his woman arguing that it would be so much better if you were circumcised, and some guy was like, "That's my ultimate beta way of doing it. I'm going to have my dick cut."
Yep.
But if there's a medical reason for it, sure, go ahead. I know there's religious reasons, but I don't really think much about it at all. If I have kids at some point, I'm not going to have them circumcised, but that's if the plot is there, I just tend to think it's there for a reason, and why fuck with that?
Well, this issue is big in the men's rights movement, right? If I'm not mistaken.
That's what I was.
Yeah, it's because they can't do anything about it. That's why they love it so much.
That's why I was gonna take. That's why I was gonna. My take on it was gonna. This is like a pet project for the MRAs, and it always has been, because they think, oh well, sex would be so much more enjoyable if I hadn't had my foreskin cut off when I was 1 month old. Yeah, exactly. It's like, yeah, and I think that's interesting because Carl kind of hit the nail on the head there with there's no guy that has really kind of experienced both of it, I think.
Right. And I think it's just like you said, Rolla, it's something that they don't have control over. So for example, like gay marriage, for example, right? There are gay people who want to get married. Dude, if gay people want to get married, dude, cool, do you. To me, I don't care. But the reason why homosexuals want to get married is because the world tells them that they can't. If everybody just said, you know what, homosexual people, go ahead and get married, then they wouldn't want it so much. You understand what I mean? So it's almost like these MRAs are saying, well, circumcision is wrong because, of course, they don't have control over it, and everyone seems to be doing it. It's not that big a deal, man. Circumcision is just a big deal because you don't have a choice when you're a kid. Whatever. Like, well,
they want to equate it with genital mutilation of girls, which is a big thing in the world. Okay, I get that, and we have been genitally mutilating boys for a very long time, probably longer than girls. But
listen, check this out. I'm not trying to fuck for an hour and a half.
They're just trying to find, exactly. They're trying to find some sort of parallel, and really, this is the evidence of MRAs and their egalitarian mindset. So if something's happening for girls, and it's got to happen for boys, and that's the big. I don't have a problem with MRAs in their thinking or in their. I know a lot of MRAs who are definitely red pill aware and definitely woke, but I think that their solution to that, or the premise that they base their being woke on, is false. Because I think that a lot of them really lean towards egalitarian equalism. They want to be more perfected feminists. They believe the lie that feminists told them that they want to have a gender equal, gender neutral society. And so because feminism didn't do that, or feminism dropped the ball, or feminism is really about power dynamics and female supremacy, they want to be the perfected feminists. They want to have equalism. That's why I call it equalism or equalist, because they want to think that men and women are functional equals of one another. So if women have their genitals mutilated, well, boys have had their genitals mutilated as well. So let's talk about that and make a big deal out of that. Fine. If that's the hill you want to die on, man, that's fine. Go ahead and talk about it. But I think really it's just sort of a distraction because they wanted something that's a parallel.
That should be embarrassing, man. Think about that. If I work hard and try my best, I can be just as good as a girl.
Yeah.
How kind of self-defeating shit is that? No, I get mutilated too. I swear. No, I get raped. Oh, I get touched by gay guys.
Well, let me add this to the mix. Just an alpha beta kind of perspective. I think it was Donovan who just said, like, if he has a son, he wouldn't have him circumcised.
I think it was
hard. Oh, someone said that, yeah. But it's
that was me.
Okay. So it's curious for me that we live in a feminine primary social order, but how many alpha fathers would given the decision, would actually make the call to get their son circumcised? I think it's mostly women doing it and beta fathers going along with it. If I ever have a son, I'm not going to have him circumcised. I think it's a stupid idea. And I've looked into it, from a physical perspective. There's no purpose to doing it at this point in modern era.
No, I mean it's not a functional thing. It's a religious thing. Really, I mean Jews have been doing it for. I've been to a bris before. I mean I've seen it. I know what goes on,
Yep.
and Christians follow in that as well. do Muslims follow with circumcision? I'm not sure.
Well,
Is
it
that
came from the
just-
desert, as I understand it,
It's an
right?
Abrahamic religion. I would assume that they would do that as well. I mean, there's no functional reason for that. It's just, it is what it is. I mean, I think it's a
Supposedly
religious thing.
there was a long time for if you live in the desert and you're going to be dry all the time. Suppose that's where it came from, doing it thousands of years ago. My point is this: that I think it's for it happening today. I think it's mostly women initiating it, mothers, and then the beta fathers. Just 80% of men or 90% of men are beta. They just go along with it, even if they don't like it. They don't say shit.
And that's why MRAs have a problem with it. That's the only reason they have a problem with it.
They have no power to do anything about it.
Again, it's like I said, it's a pet project for MRAs so that they can. So when women talk about genital mutilation, they have something to say.
Got a caller on the line. Private number, area code 11111. You're on with the Red Man Group. What's on your mind? Yeah. Speak
Hello?
up. Yep. You're on. Yeah, you're on live. You're on the air, man. What's up?
Hey, this is Modern Life Dating.
Hey, what's up, MLD.
Hey.
Hey.
How you guys doing?
Good.
Good now.
Yeah.
Good. I just had a simple and easy question because, we got a panel of guys here that are all pretty experienced. Looking at the way things are right now, are you more optimistic towards the future of what's happening with America and the balance of the genders? Because from what I'm seeing, just looking at things on a global perspective and looking at different corners of the internet, it seems that the awareness that the average American chick is just like insufferable is growing slowly and slowly. But what do you guys think we're going to be like 5 or 10 years down the road?
I don't think we'll have any women left because they'll all want to be boys at some point.
I'll say that I think we'll be more and more polarized, like we're seeing. People keep talking about this. That's going to keep continuing, especially if Trump wins again. So it's going to keep pushing things to a boiling point. 2020?
When he wins again.
Yeah, when he wins again. Exactly. Yeah, of course he's going to win.
We're in the fucking hat. Come on, man.
Yeah.
I had lost.
Hey, who knows? We'll see he could. For all we know, he could get assassinated tomorrow. But yeah, he'll win again, I believe.
I'll tell you, I had lost a lot of faith in what was going on in this country for a while here, and it wasn't until I got onto Twitter, I discovered the Manosphere, I discovered all the other things that are going on, and I got hope again. I mean, I got a bunch of young guys that are dedicated to fixing their shit, and then you're fixing to drop a bomb on feminism on July the 4th. I mean, I'm telling you, this is encouraging to the old guy here, right? I mean, you guys are carrying the torch, and you're not letting this thing go down the crapper, at least not voluntarily. That's kind of what I'm encouraged about. That 2024 is the date Ivan keeps talking about, because I think that's the date where we all laugh and go, that's when the shit really is going to hit the fan.
I'll tell you this, though. One prediction I made, as soon as Trump won the election, I remember that night, I said, you know what? The 2020 election, that is going to yield the largest voter turnout in U.S. history. More people are hitting the polls in 2020 than have ever in U.S. history. You can book it.
I think it comes, you really have to understand that the mindset, I think, that the U.S. population has now. I think I've seen some statistics and some of the graphs or the Bell graphs or whatever of the polarization between left and right now. I wrote a post called "The First Female President," and really I kind of get into exactly this question in that. That was actually a very popular post, now that I think about it. But I look at things in terms of the differences between sexes and the differences, like the battle between male and female. And really, the battle between Hillary and Trump was a battle between the feminine imperative and
the red
the importance that we're going to place on women. And Trump was masculinity. And I mean, you look at these two entities, really. I mean, just take they are their own brands, but take away their branding for a minute. You have a woman versus a man. You have a woman who is the ultimate expression of the feminine imperative. It's Hillary fucking Clinton. Okay, she is, feminist, women's rights. I mean, think about what the world would be like for the last 2 years if Hillary had won. Okay, now take that and you look at Trump, who is the only guy who could have beat the ultimate representative of the feminine imperative. You have a guy who is white, he's masculine, he is arguably
Can you guys hear me?
alpha.
Yeah.
And so you've got this guy who is the embodiment of everything that the people who would vote for Hillary hate. He's not just sort of halfway there. He is all the way there.
Right.
He is like the ultimate expression of, this masculinity this toxic masculinity that they hate so much. And what kills them to this day is that won. The man, he won and she lost. And it didn't matter if it was Hillary Clinton. It didn't matter if it just needed to be a woman. I'm seeing all these articles right now about how it doesn't matter who gets to be president as long as she is a she and she has a vagina. And that's all they're really concerned about. And that's all they're really focusing on. And remember, it was her turn. She was supposed to win. And I mean, I was the same way because I'll say right now, I've never been a fan of Trump. I'm still not a fan of Trump. I think he's a better choice, way better choice than Hillary ever was going to be. So I was really more voting against Hillary than I was really voting for Trump. Now, in that time, I can understand the benefit of having of Trump, and I've come to like him a little bit more, but he would not have been my first choice to vote for on that side. But he was the only one who could have beat Hillary because there was such this groundswell of, we had Obama, now it's her turn. And there was this expectation. I mean, shit, companies were like funding, millions of dollars into their commercials. And I mean, even House of Cards, if you saw the last season of House of Cards, they anticipated that we would have a female president in the office when that show hit, because it was going to hit in 2017. They thought that, and they were wrong, and everybody was wrong. And I think that there's this, and what that has done is it's sort of polarized things. So now we're talking about, Gretchen Carlson talks about this, cultural revolution of feminism, or the future is female. And you're probably going to see this a little bit more when you see Anthony's talk, his keynote address. But you have this factionalized, polarized side of, the feminine versus the masculine. And I think that if there's going to be some sort of optimism, we really need to have Red Pill Association. We really need to encourage positive masculinity. We really need to encourage conventional masculinity. And if we're going to fight against that, if they're going to have some sort of balance to the force, we're going to need to have men who know what the fuck they're talking about and are unapologetically masculine and say, you know what, I reject your bullshit about toxic masculinity. I reject your bullshit about how men are the way they are because it fits into whatever your ideological narrative is. And I think if there's going to be optimism, we're going to need strong men to be optimistic about.
Rolla, let me ask you this too, real quick. So you're fond of saying, and you say consistently, and I support you with it, that the sisterhood, spans everything.
Uber Alice. Yep.
Yeah, no matter the sisterhood Uber Alice, no matter what. Do you think, let's just hypothesize here, if Ivanka Trump runs in 2024, do you think the sisterhood will get behind her or not?
No, I know they won't.
I don't think first of all, I don't think she will run. Second of all, I think that it would depend. I get what you're saying though. Is it an ideological bet? Would women vote for a strong conservative candidate? I'd be on the fence about, because we got Theresa May over in England right now. We've got feminist governments in Sweden. We see how that's going.
Well, Ivanka carries the Trump name though, so it's to me that kind of makes it a very close call in my head.
I don't think I would side with Donovan on this. I don't think women would vote for Ivanka Trump because she's not the strong, independent woman. I mean, she could sell herself like that all she wanted to. Would women vote for her just because she is female? Yes, but I don't think that she would win because there'd be enough people who would say she's not qualified. Whereas you had, Hillary Clinton, who has been groomed to be the first female president for a very long time. But let's just take that out of the realm of liberal and conservative. If you put a woman in a strong conservative background who was like, say, the Hillary Clinton of the right wing, would women vote for her? I think probably yes.
Yeah.
I think you guys are very positive, and it's so nice to see such optimism. I'm gonna piss in everybody's cornflakes. I think it's gonna get worse in aggregate. If you look at the numbers, like being a man, it's kind of what everybody wants at the end of the day. How you define it, whatever. You can't just pretend to be a man and start acting like it, and it won't work. Otherwise, pickup artists would be running the world right now. like that's why you have to lift. You have to lift. You have to be heavy. You gets your hormones in check. Builds up. Like the muscles aren't there just to be attractive. It builds your testosterone. We've been on a slow decline since the 1940s, I think. And media on all sides is basically catering to the exact opposite narrative. I don't think the future's female. I think the present's female. Mm-hmm. And so it's going to be good for a small cadre of people who put in effort. And that's where you'll see guys like Rolla, you've lived through the 80s, and I did the 90s, and we have that whole futurist female shit, but we pulled through in spite of. So I think if you're going to be part of that group, it's going to be great. Clean pickings. But I do think in aggregate, it's going to get a lot more effeminate. It's not going to get better. Short of some kind of natural disaster that brings the Ivan out of retirement to go grab an axe and start fighting off the Mongol hordes or whatever. I just don't see it going better. So
I agree with
carve your own niche.
I agree with part of what you're saying, Ryan. That's kind of what I was thinking when I started off my answer to this question, that things are going to get more polarized. So I think people who still have an open mind and are not totally fucked up, say young girls who are like 15, 16, if they see these positive things associated with masculinity, if they see things like what we're doing, if they maybe get away from this toxic brainwashing that'll fuck up the rest of their life from feminism. So I think there's groups of people, men and women both, young, that will go in a positive direction, and then the ones that aren't, and they're going to get increasingly more and more and more in a more fucked up direction.
Yeah, the good ones will pull a Lacey Green, get a good dick, and all of a sudden world you change.
Yeah, so
Exactly.
Trump derangement syndrome is going to keep escalating, I think, for the people who hate Trump, male and female both. And so that's what we're going to see, I think, in the coming years.
I actually got a comment a little while ago from somebody says Trump equals sugar daddy, lesser alpha, low-key simp. Oh, get the fuck out of here, man.
Lesser alpha. He's like the most powerful man on the fucking planet right now.
Listen, dude, wishful thinking, right?
Stupid.
Like you hate Trump, so that's what you want him to be. So you're trying to, man, get the fuck out of here with that nonsense.
Yep.
I have a kind of a love-hate relationship with Trump. I think that there's some things that he'll do what he's made some decisions that have been really kind of off or just like appeasing, as his signing off on certain laws, but then he'll flip it around and he'll do something, I mean, the economy's never been better, at least in my memory. So like I said, I'm kind of like, I don't know.
He's unpredictable.
Yeah, he is unpredictable. In some ways, he does like what I would expect like liberals to do, and then thinking it's going to earn him points, and it never does. But then he'll go back and he'll do something else.
I kind of enjoyed the Clinton years because he was so unpredictable on what kind of crap was Bill going to pull next, right? And then Trump has just taken that to a whole new level. It's been fun to watch.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, I'm 29, so I've never seen anything even remotely like this. This is fucking awesome.
All right, we got a caller on the line, area code 717. You're on live with the Red Man Group. What's on your mind?
How are y'all doing?
Good.
Good.
Yes. So how should a young 21-year-old prepare for this future?
Be Chad. The era of Chad is coming. I'm serious.
1-year-old.
Well, look. Ian Ironwood put this in 2014. He said traditional family is kind of going the way of the dodo. Girls get jobs now, they have to, and they're increasingly starting to earn more than guys. So we found that a male-dominated relationship tends to be the most stable and happy. So what do you do when provision is no longer how you establish that dominance? And I hate to say it, but Corey Worthington is now the male role model for the 21st century.
Yeah. Well, I half expect whenever guys ask that question, I half expect to say, go MGTOW, but I think if you're going to play the game and if you're not going to check out, which I think a lot of guys are, they see this and they get depressed by it. And okay. And they say, well, it's, there's no point in playing the game. There's no point in, and I don't mean that just from a MGTOW perspective. I think that, when we're talking about dealing with, you're 21, maybe you're on a college campus. How are you dealing with the feminine imperative on a college campus? How are you dealing with the political and the social wing of the feminine imperative? How are you going to fight against that? I think that what Ryan was saying is definitely true. You have to sort of see the landscape of what's coming, and then prepare yourself for that landscape. What do you want to do? I mean, we just had a caller on who was 40 years old, and he's, you know, apparently got his shit together well enough that he can make some really the best decisions for himself. I think what's necessary is setting yourself up so that you can be in that position to choose, so that you can choose what it is that you want to do with your life from an informed and educated perspective. Knowing, you know, being red pill aware, definitely part of that. How you know, mental point of origin, definitely part of that. Being as alpha as you possibly can be in your own way, definitely part of that. Having, you know, having frame and insisting on frame, having, you know, understanding the dynamics between men and women, knowing what to look for if you decide you want to have kids and you want to have a wife. I'm not ever going to advocate for marriage right now because it's just too dangerous, and that's part of the landscape. You're married right now? Yeah, I know. I'm married. Wow. But still, here's the thing: is like, I'm red pill, and I understand how to work it within red pill.
I want to tag on here that at 21, I think you should take. I believe this is Rolla's thing that, you know, explicitly in one of his books. You should take Rolla's advice to not date till you're about 30 monogamously. Right.
Men don't become men till they're 30.
Yep. Well,
there you go.
Until they become 30 and they've experienced heartbreak a few times. My simple answer: if you're 21 and you want to prepare for the world, go to the 21 convention.
There you go. Go to 21. Exactly. I mean, I started the company at 17 because I wanted to get better with women, and it was for guys under 21. But if you're 21, come to the event. There you go.
You have more access to more knowledge than, like, certainly more than I did when I was 21. You have more access to more knowledge and more understanding of how the world works, thanks to the internet, thanks to technology, thanks to everything else. So it's really on you. I mean, you want to talk about, I'm kind of half and half on the personal responsibility thing, but I think that it's really on you to take personal responsibility for yourself with the understanding and utilize it. Utilize the 21 convention, utilize the red pill, utilize the community, understand what you're getting into, and know that you are living in the only time in history where you could do this.
I'll say this too, that if you take the red pill and you learn game and you approach and you meet a lot of women, you're probably going to have success and bang a lot of them, hopefully, right? In doing so, I think in your 20s, it's easy to say, you know, oh, I'll listen to Rolla's advice. I won't date till I'm 29, 30, 31 or whatever. But if you're out banging, you know, 10 women a year, 20 women a year, 30 women a year, that's going to be difficult because you're going to meet some decent women along the way. Even considering that, you need to take Rolla's advice. Wait at least your late 20s to date monogamously. You need to be building your career, your wealth, your business, your education, your skills, learning game, banging, you know, as many women as you can safely, and not getting
letting your big head take control over the little head.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So to take the advice and seriously, like physically in real life, do that with action, not just like, oh yeah, it's a great idea, and then you bang 20 women and number 21 is like all of a sudden awesome, and you're like, oh, you know, Rolla's probably right, but I'll be the exception. No, take the fucking advice.
Here's something else. Here's something else, man. I know a lot of young guys still have a little bit of morality when it comes to dealing with, well, I'll never fuck another man's wife. I'll never fuck another man's girlfriend. Here's the thing, man. Throw that shit out the window, man. Because if a woman wants to cheat, she's going to cheat. Somebody's out here fucking these wives and girlfriends. It may as well be you. But here's the more important reason. You will learn more about women being the dude she cheats with than the dude she is cheating on. Okay. Women, and it's interesting, women can't help themselves but reveal their shady tactics as to how their boyfriend or husband has no idea what they're doing. Like she will tell you what her strategy is. Yeah, my boyfriend or husband thinks here, and here's how I did it. You know, 10 minutes later, your dick is in her mouth. So if you know that a woman is in a committed relationship, don't shy away from those women, dude. Have fun with those women, dude. They will fucking fuck you.
I understand what you're saying, Donovan. I disagree in terms of my own life and how I act. I specifically avoid women like that.
Really?
And yeah, and one of the main reason I want to do it is because I don't want to enable abuse on another man. Now, is she going to find another guy to fuck and cheat on the guy? 99% chance. But I'm not. You know, it's not going to be me. You don't deserve me. You don't get that. And in particular, I don't want to enable her to hurt some dude. She'll find some other guy to do it, but I'm not going to participate in that kind of bullshit. I'm going to stay away from it.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, listen. I guess we'll certainly agree to disagree on that because.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, the thing is, man, I don't feel sorry for other guys, man. Like I'm sure guys have fucked my wife and my girlfriend and this and that. They didn't give a shit about me. So as far as I'm concerned, dude, www.therationalmale.com, man. Hey, listen, man, if you hate dudes like me, do something about it. That's the way.
Let me just jump in real quick.
I don't think it's a morality thing.
Go ahead, Carl.
No, I don't think it's a morality thing. Like I take much of the same position Anthony does, but it's not even remotely moral because the reason why I tend to avoid it is drama's like a vampire. It can only come into your life if you invite it in. And I don't want some asshole to show up here because I fucked his girlfriend or wife with a gun at my property, and then I have to shoot him. Then I have to deal with the fucking police. Then I have to do the paperwork. I'm going to have to bury a body, and I don't have time for that shit.
Wow, wait a minute. No, but listen, you're right because listen, I've been in those situations before. I've been thrown.
I saw there was this meme. I don't know if it was true or not, so just don't quote me on this. But I saw this one picture. Maybe it's not a meme. I saw this one picture of this guy, and I think it was on the Red Pill Reddit. And this guy had taped a note to the top of or the bottom of the toilet seat. And the guy had like just nailed this chick who had a boyfriend, and she later on told him, "Oh, I have a boyfriend." Afterwards, so she's basically, confessing to cheating with this guy. So the guy went to go take a leak. He wrote this note and taped it to the bottom of the the lid of the toilet. So because guys are gonna lift it up when they gotta take a piss, right? And it said something, "Sorry, dude, I didn't know she was your girlfriend, but just so you know, one bro to another, she's cheating on you," kind of thing. I was like, imagine that would be me if I was single right now. I would be like, okay, I'll still nail her, but I'm going to tell this dude just as, sort of like this ethical public service to other guys, So if you're going to be unethical, I mean, in the sense that like, if you didn't know that a chick was fucking you, at least have the common courtesy to say, dude, sorry, I know you got all this investment in her, but she's fucking.
I'll say this too, man. I don't think we're ever going to kill feminism if we don't work together at least a little bit. We're not like women who team up constantly.
Yeah, we don't have that in our DNA.
If you want to listen, there's plenty of pussy out here dude, you can never touch or look at a married woman or a woman in a relationship and still be up to your eyeballs in pussy. So I get it.
Yep.
Guys used to rub noses in it too. Sailors, there was this thing, you take your ship's crest. If you were fucking a guy from another ship and you'd stab your sticker somewhere, if you could put it inside the dude's beret, it was actually better. And everybody has that. There's always the one guy in fleet school when you were there who like slept with a girl, and then the next day he looks over and sees like his chief in a photograph.
By the way,
it's so common, it's cliche.
Donovan, I'll say this too. I'm under no impression that women haven't used me to cheat on their boyfriends. I just don't do it explicitly. So if I find out, I get the fuck away from it. If she hides it successfully, well, there you go.
The interesting thing is that and women will never tell you, I'm married or I have a boyfriend. But dude, we know women. You're like, if obviously if she has a wedding ring on, but we know the behaviors of women who are in committed relationships. After you find out, or after she, hey, I do have a boyfriend. This is sort of a thing. You have to do some calculations. Okay, what does her boyfriend do for a living? Is it worth it? Blah 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 blah. But a lot of times, you just don't know. Like women are very good, just like Rolla said. SEJ, she is giving advertising signals, right? So if a dude has no idea who she is and he hits on her and he manages to fuck her, he probably doesn't know she's married in the first place. That's for sure.
Guys, we gotta wrap up. It's about 12:30 here.
Do we have anybody else on the call?
Nope.
We're good.
Yep. Wait a minute. Hold on. We had a troll in here. He said,
is that the guy saying that somebody couldn't get pussy or something?
He says, I bet you don't get pussy at all. This shit's fake. Dude, if you're going to troll...
How much do you want to bet?
Oh, man. Come better than that.
Yeah,
I'm an online gambling thing. I'll put money up on it.
Come on, man. Like Mel Toretto. Yeah, dude, I bet you never get girls at all. This is fake. You sound like you're 13, dude. Like, honestly. Like, if you're going to troll, you got to do it right.
I think he just called you an Uncle Tom.
Dude,
well, it's just like that's 3 or 4 terms ago, isn't it? Like Coon now.
Right. Tell me something I don't already know. Like, come on, man. Uncle Tom, Coon, dude. I've heard this shit since I'm 17 years old, man. Like, you're not telling me.
What do you think would work? What do you think? I mean, really. I mean, I'm always open to that. I hate it when people like say, "Oh, Rollo doesn't walk the walk," or "Rollo doesn't do this," or "Rollo doesn't." I have disagreements with them. I'm like, okay, fine. Let's talk about that. I have had an open, I've had an open comment threads in my blog for 7 years now. And whenever people say that they have a problem with anything that I'm saying, or that's fake, or that's nobody ever comes and wants to talk about it. Nobody ever wants to say it. You know, they just want to like throw shit at you and then leave. And it's like, well, tell me what you think or shut the fuck up.
No, I agree. And listen, I've got a documented temper problem. And, you know, sometimes, you know, trolls actually do get under my skin every once in a while. And it's weird. I don't really know what it is that they say exactly. But when they come at me with shit like, Donovan's fake, he's not who he says he is, he's an Uncle Tom, bruh. Like, what is this, the fucking 90s? Come on, man. You got to come stronger than that. If you're really trying to piss me off, dude, you're going to have to bring better game than that.
Bringing on my upstream.
Let's talk about it, bro.
Let Ryan go.
Yeah, go ahead, Ryan.
Well, I was just going to say, you come with me. I'll show you how to deal with trolls and have some fun with it. My little upstream rant yesterday is a good example.
All right. That's good. Well, you know, I'm always about, you know, I want to know if people disagree with me, if they think I don't know what I'm talking about, or if they think that there's, you know, that maybe they have some information that I'm not aware of. I'm always open to that. I put it's in the introduction of at least 2 of my books where I say, look, if you think I'm full of shit, come on, you know, on my comment threads and tell me why, because I want to know why. But like, don't just go there and say, oh, he does some things that I really don't like. Okay, well, what are they?
What are they?
I don't have time to tell you that. Fuck you. You come at me. If you're gonna come at me, all right. But don't go there. Don't throw shit at me and say, you know, make claims against, you know, disagreeing with me, and then don't define and specify what the fuck you're talking about. Because if you want to talk about it, I'll be happy to talk. That's why we have open calls now. I mean,
Donovan gave him 3 minutes to call in.
I gave him 3 minutes. I gave Meltzer 3 minutes to call in.
I would love to have a show based on like what I disagree about with the red pill. Please do.
Here's the thing, man.
I asked that to Dr. Smith. Exactly.
When trolls try to troll me online, I don't even engage them. I'm like, look, dude, I got a call-in show at 7:00. Here's the number to call in. Call in. Dude, I have done this dozens of times. You know how many people have actually called in to debate me? Absolutely zero. Dude, listen, I upped the ante. I said, dude, I'm on Facebook Live. I'm in front of my computer right now.
I'm gonna find something. I'm gonna find something to disagree with you, and I'm gonna give you shit just so you can break that.
Hey, someone just asked if we're gonna have Cobra Tate back on, and the answer is I would fucking love to. So maybe 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now.
Well, I'll tell you. Here's an update. I'm trying to work out a show where I can get Cobra and Christian on at the same time. I would love to have both of those guys on for like an all game episode. Would be great.
How can it be there?
They're not going to fit on Google Hangout. It only supports so much alpha.
Yeah, you're probably right about that. But I would love to get.
Stay up, guys.
I'd love to get Tate and Christian McQueen and myself and possibly I guess Donovan as well, and maybe Kyle from Kyle Trouble. We've had him on before too. We just did an all game episode. I'd love to do that.
So before we roll out, guys, and wind this up, I want to announce that next Saturday, July 7th, we're going to do a special episode on dangerous personalities in women. That'll be hosted on 21 Studios channel, youtube.com/21. It'll be me, Rollo, Dr. Sean C. Smith, and then maybe Carl and Donovan. Maybe Ryan.
Possibly Rich.
Rich Cooper too.
We might have an all-star cast for that.
Rich Cooper said he's doing something on that Saturday.
He said that if he has internet access, he would call in at least. So.
Okay, cool. So that's going on. That's gonna be an exciting episode and one we've been planning for a while. One of our
we'll be talking about dangerous women, borderline personality disorders, which you and I both have encountered. Yep. And so we're going to dedicate a whole show to that. I see Paul Elam trying to sort of cover that base right now too, and I got some things to talk about that I don't think he's
by the way, a lot of people asked when you mentioned BPD, people want to know if that's bipolar disorder.
No, it is borderline personality disorder, and I've got to actually just search that on my blog, and you'll get the post I've written about borderline personality.
Solid.
Yep.
Very good. All right, your 3 minutes is up.
Guys, we got Yep, I gotta go.
All right, taking the knee. All right.
Everybody, thanks for tuning in live. So check out the video description underneath this on YouTube, and you're gonna find links to all the speakers, the guests today on the show, their Twitter accounts, Patreons, websites, stuff like that. Also, tickets to the 21 convention on early bird sale tonight, until midnight. They're $600 off, and that sale ends at midnight tonight. If I am awake and what's going on. Otherwise, it'll be tomorrow morning. It'll be
it will sell out.
Yeah, we're gonna sell out soon, either July or August. I think we're gonna sell out by. So it's coming up soon. That's fucking awesome. But get the tickets. The link is also in the video description, or you can visit almost any of these guys' websites, Rolla's blog, Donovan's website, etc. And you can buy tickets through there as well, and you should if you're a fan of them and you follow them closely. Lastly, my upcoming keynote we've talked about a few times. It's a big speech. It's big, not just for me personally, but for the company. I also, I'm actually one of 2 speakers in it. Socrates is also in it. So it's a big deal. And that's coming July 4th. And I hope it rocks your world. We'll see what happens here on YouTube with it. Gentlemen, thanks for joining in live. We'll talk soon and stay on the call. We'll keep it, private after the live show ends.
We don't want to do like the live after party show. That'd be
We'll keep. Let's see. Let's see how
10 a.m. here, man.
Let's see how spicy it gets once we go private. I'm gonna end the live stream. Everybody else, thanks for tuning in live. Appreciate it. Thanks for super chats, tuning in live, and on Twitter and Facebook as well. See you guys next week.
All right, guys.
Peace.